Butt Kicker Gamer 2. What you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Good evening, race fans. Welcome to Double Chicago, as we're live for the first of our two Chicago trips tonight. Chicagoland Speedway for the NASCAR Truck Series for the PRL. And then for, Derek, what did we call it last week? Uncontrolled chaos at the Chicago Street Course. I'm Terry Radford. Derek Watson is joined alongside of me. We have a new-ish producer with Dustin back behind the scenes pressing all the buttons this afternoon. Derek, you got all the notes because, well, I'm sitting at work. I'm in my office in Savannah, Georgia. Just clocked out, and I'm sitting here on a computer talking to you.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun night, Terry. I do got some notes we'll go through throughout the night about both courses. Of course, as you said, one of the few rare weeks where the NASCAR schedule is split. The PRL Truck Series will be at Chicagoland Speedway, you see there, before we head off to Mid-Ohio next week. And, of course, as we'll see later, the Xfinity Series is at the Chicago Street Course. That's also where you'll be doing the PRL Cup Series on Sunday, Terry.
Oh, I'm super excited. But you take a look at your 10-week schedule for the NASCAR Truck Series for them. Chicagoland Speedway tonight before we go to Mid-Ohio. Sports Cars Course which will also be the host for Road to Pro as well, with New Hampshire, Pocono, Richmond, Michigan, IRP, Watkins Glen, and the Milwaukee Mile ending us on August 23rd. We take a look at our point standings. It's going to come up after this with William Hartman getting the win last week. Dallas Sullivan right there. Adam Shane. I just figured out how to pronounce his name. It's Adam Shane back there in third. Kevin McGarvey, Matthew Karikoff, Austin Hunter, Brendan Chatley, Richard Pruitt, Thomas Brindle, Dylan Schmidt, your top 10 there. Your team standings are, well, Whataback established traffic control leading Loaded Dice Racing, who had a not-so-okay week last week with a couple of their people falling back with riding Shotgun Motorsports, the Outlaws with DDI Motorsports every day, and then Consultifo back there in fifth, and you see the rest of them down there with Whataback Racing trailing up the end with RaceSpoke Motorsports not far ahead of them. But I'm pretty sure this is the time of the show where I have to thank all the people that make tonight possible, what they do every single week possible. We'll start with the Advanced Sim Racing people. It's owned and operated by passionate sim racers. Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulating cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get 5% discount code on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. With Racebox Sim Racing, Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts. From the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceboxSimRacing.com and get a 5% discount using the Precision 5 coupon code. And then, the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat with the Butt Kicker. Then Mecha Sim Hardware is a small company from the Czech Republic, and their goal is to produce high-quality sim racing hardware. If you're looking for a high-end pedal set, a handbrake, or a sequential shifter, visit Mecha Sim Hardware eShop right now to get yourself up to speed. And then Muradness is a performance-based lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit Muradness.com, and then they go and throw a new sponsor for me. We don't get the graphic in there, but Mr. Hedge Sim Racing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, and simply worst moments from your hobby and up to 8K resolution. It's a great addition to any sim room. And on top of that, they'll be doing giveaways and drawings every season and weekly pictures from the series. Mr. Hedge will provide 10% discounts to all PRL members using the Precision 10 coupon code. And we would like to thank Adam Hedgecock for his support and trust towards the PRL. Make sure you follow them on social media and visit their website at mrhedge.co.uk or facebook.com/Mr. Hedge, Mr. Hedge 2 photography, and then Instagram, Mr. Hedge _iRacing _iRacing _ whatever. you take a look at this right here, and this is the first time, Derek, I didn't screw up the ad reads.
You came close, though.
I did. I stuttered a little bit.
And, you know, consistency is important, so don't worry about it. Well, Terry, you know, tonight we're at Chicagoland for the trucks. Of course, last week we're at Nashville. The track here is only slightly longer than Nashville. Man, what a difference a track makes, right? Look at these big, sweeping, high-banked corners. We're going to watch Alan Dice and that 5 truck come around here, part of Loaded Dice. You know, big. Look at how big that infield, or not infield, but that little space is down there. Last week, I think we joked that no one would get down there and use that little track, but man, what a difference this track is compared to Nashville.
And the crazy part for Alan Dice is he did not have the week last week that we thought he would have at Nashville. We thought for sure he would be one of those drivers that came up here, have a good race, but he ended up getting wrecked early, and then we saw a lot of other drivers be able to topple ahead of him. He's not even in the top 10 in points yet for a driver that was up there contending for wins all season long last season for the PRL. He puts his time on the board with a 31.244. Cody Atkins jumps right behind him, and a lot of these drivers, Derek, are coming in with a ton of momentum, but nobody needs more momentum than right here in that 5 machine.
Yeah, I mean, momentum sounds kind of odd to talk about for week number 2, but in a 10-week season, that's very, very important. We're going to watch him come out of 4 here. Now he's going to get down on that area there of the track, that runoff, and that's how you get a fast lap around here. Maybe not so much for racing, but for hot lapping or for Q laps, Terry, that's super important to get down there and find all the speed you can.
Well, Cody Atkins definitely found some speed as he goes to the top of the board with a 31.160. You see Oliver Goff up here. He's going to shut it down there in P11. Take a look at Stephen Kirby in the 109 machine. Chevrolet looks a little colorful with the blue wheels in there. I think that's, I can't read the actual sponsor on that thing, but I see RaceSpot on it, so we'll take it. We like him now. We like Stephen Kirby. He'll come through 3 and 4. We'll see what he can put down on this board, where he slots in on the timesheets. Lap number 1's got to put him 20th. He's going to have to find a half a second, Derek, if he wants to make it work on lap 2.
Yeah, definitely a half a second, you're right, and it's going to be all about probably consistency out of these corners. This is a tricky track. It looks fairly simple, Terry, but you know, this track, especially out of 4, you could lose a track pretty quickly. Right, sort of that middle lane here. And now going to come out of 4, keeps it close to the wall. Now, as you get down here, he does. This might be that half a second he's looking for.
He ain't gonna find. He ain't gonna find all of it. He found 2 of it. He found 2 of it. He found 2/10 of a second is all he could find on that one. A little bit high up than what I thought anybody would have ran. I kind of thought he would have took the bottom lane, as Brett Adams is right here. He's only a 10th off the pole with a 31.263 in that 05. Brett Adams looking to make a splash early, and if he could find that 10th of a second, which almost everybody's picked up on the second lap, if he can find that, we might be looking at a new pole sitter as Hayden Palumbo goes up there and takes the pole. Now make it 1.1 tenths. He goes. Can he get it done here? The 05 crosses the line. It's going to be close. Really close. P3 by 2/100ths of a second. He misses it.
So, you know, I think last week we talked about this as well, Terry. The idea and the strategy behind qualifying. These guys have waited till the last second. Look at the clock up there. About 50 seconds left here to be complete. These guys have waited till the last second. They want to know what they have to put down before they go out there. That's an interesting strategy. I'm a go do it and be done kind of guy. I hate waiting, but these guys want to see what they need to do, I guess.
Well, this is a driver right here in Steve Loving who finally got that win last season. After waiting and waiting and waiting, he finally gets it done. He's coming into this season with a ton of momentum. He'll slot that thing in the 13th position. Not the qualifying he was looking for, but the good part about it is Steve Loving's a really fast racer as well as Colton Easterday in that 9 machine. He's shutting it down. He's done P18. Brendan Chatley right there in the 10th place position. That's lap 2. He's done. And I think that's good for qualifying. We got 1-0 red flags out for qualifying. Everybody who set their time is done. I do want to tell you, if you are out there in the chat, say what's up, say hey. Let's have a fun Chicagoland, and then we can all have a good time with the Chicago street course, because I think you got a lot more notes than I did. I'm almost positive you got more notes than I did this week. But trucks are lining up. We're going to wait on the grid here. Our starting lineup is going to be out here, and we'll take a look at it right here. Starting on the pole, Matthew Karakoff with Hayden Palumbo. Out there to the outside, Cody Atkins, Adam Shane, Brett Adams, Richard Pruitt, your top 6. Alan Dice, Ryan Traver, Garrett Austin, Brandon Chatley, Dylan Schmidt, and Dalton Geyer, your top 12. Baron Hilton, Steve Loving, CM Punk Pennington, Kevin McGarvey, Dallas Sullivan, and Colton, the best singer, Easter Day. And 18th, Zach Panzarella, Philip Beaver, Stacy Hunter, Austin Hunter, no relations, Stephen Kirby, and Thomas Brindle, your top 24. And the list keeps coming. Zachary Austin, Tom Macy, Oliver Goff's back there with Alex Hildman. The better-looking Goff, Robert Goff there in 29th, and Edward Peltz, your top 30. And there's 4 more to go. Ronald Overbay, William Hartman, Timothy Emmanuel, and Zachary Smith, your 34 truck field. And phew, you could take it from here, Derek. I'm already out of breath.
He is out of breath. See, Ronald Overbay, William Hartman, and others here, 33rd and 34th. That's a big field. This is one thing that's great about PRL, Terry, all kidding aside, is how big a field these groups attract. I mean, you know, myself and Dustin were here along with you and O'Leary Monday. We saw a 51-car field.
Oof.
For an LMP3 GT4 race at Long Beach. Boy, that was chaos.
I imagine. And the good part about it is if you didn't catch it live, you can always watch it on RaceSpot.tv. It's always on demand. It stays on for forever. You'll never be able to miss a beat. But golly, you know what's going to make this fun? I raced here last season. I didn't race here this week so far. I'm going to do it when I get a day off. But there's so many lanes. We're going to see 3-4 different lanes work here. I'm not sure we're going to see the cautions in this race potentially of what we might see in the next race that's coming up at the street course. For anybody who watched the Coke race last night, it was very tame drive as Bobby Zielinski gets it done there. Who do you keep your eye on here at Chicagoland in the trucks to potentially walk home with a win?
Well, you know what? This track is, for the first couple of us, a bit of a draft fest, but it's going to kind of single file itself out, I think. So realistically, I'm only looking inside the top 10. No disrespect to the guys outside of it. I'm looking at like a Ryan Traver back here in P8, maybe a Alan Dyson at 5 truck we watched back there in P7. I'm curious to see how they handle the start of the race here, because these first couple laps is heavy drafting until the tires wear off. So that's where I'm kind of staring to see what happens here.
Going to be interesting to watch, and I'll make sure I go like and share some tweets. It's my second favorite thing to do other than enjoy some PRL truck racing. Pace Sedan comes down. They're in the hands of the Barney the Flagman. Green flags in the air. Matthew Karakoff's hard on the loud pedal. We're racing at Chicagoland Speedway. Leader breaks away just by a little bit, and now the outside lane of Hayden Palumbo is going to get the run, but Cody Atkins is going to give that 00 a shot to turns 3 and 4. Double foul for second, single for third, and then we look like a fighter jet going around here as that outside lane starting to show some momentum early.
Yeah, it is. And look back there, Terry. It's 2-3 wide. Everyone trying to find a spot here, and they want to quickly get as far ahead as they can before this race single file is out. A little bit of bumping almost right there through the corner. We've already got a battle for the lead here.
Fighting for the lead. Hayden Palumbo got that outside lane rolling really quick as the 81 of Atkins. He went to push the 00 of Karakoff, but didn't help him at all down the straightaway. Palumbo's going to get it. We got a fight back here with Alan Dice and Richard Pruitt. They're on top of each other. There's Garrett Allen, Ryan Traver. They're all trying to go 3 wide here. Everybody trying to find some space. As Dice, he goes all the way down to the grass, cuts back up the racetrack. Then you got fights outside the top 10, or everybody side by side here so far in the truck race.
And a lot of people back there are side by side, but look at the front, Terry. Like the drivers told us earlier, we'll talk about some quotes we got from the drivers. Here's the front 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 probably drivers all single filed out and ready to race for a while.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of racing as the top 6 have single filed out. The first battle is all the way back there between the 24 Pruitt, and that'll be the 34 of Garrett Austin, who's on the low lane. The high lane of Richard Pruitt, trying to get that momentum in that second to third groove. As now here comes the 30 of Ryan Traver, trying to work his way down there. And then you got Loving, you got Dylan Schmidt trying to work their way a little bit more secure inside the top 10 as they rocket into turns 3 and 4. You talked about the drivers wanting to single file out here. We're gonna have to see a pit stop at some point in time in this race. I'm almost positive if we stay green flag racing. Green flag pit stops are not the easiest thing here as the banking goes down to nothing. So you follow all the way down. What's the issues we're gonna see here getting on the pit lane?
A couple issues. One, as you said, the banking transition is weird here for the pit road entrance, so doing it safely and not looping your truck around is probably the biggest issue. And the second one is doing it effectively and getting it down to speed and not speeding. In other words, not getting that black flag on pit road for when too fast, but getting every inch or every oomph of a second that you can before you have to get down to speed.
Got a battle for second going on as Karakov's going to be to the outside. That's Matthew, that is. Got Cody Atkins to the bottom and that very colorful 81 Toyota down there battling the Ford. It's a very mixed bag of Toyota, Ford, Toyota, Ford, Chevy. First one outside the top 5. It's in 6 with Alan Dice, but we go drag race into the line for P2. Cody Atkins gets it that time. But you see here, Toyotas came in strong. There's a certain someone in the next race that we're gonna see at like the first caution. Oh, they're wrecking hard in 1 and 2. There's 2 trucks against the wall.
Sorry, it's going to be Garrett Austin, the 34s, who I see spun around.
Got the 60 as well. Or the 60 of Philip Beaver and Garrett Austin are the 2 that have went around here. And I believe that the 60 has already made the tow to pit road. That is
limping it around. We're going to take a second. We will load up a replay here, Terry, but that's going to really throw a crinkle on some things. Maybe, only 4 minutes into this race, but maybe you learn something that now you can get better at for the restart, or if you're in the back, maybe you come in here and, put some fuel in it, or I don't know. Strategies already in play here at the 4-minute mark of this race.
Take a look at the replay up here on the top box. You got the drivers side by side. They spin it already in the front, and then he collects into it. So that's where the 60 of Beaver gets into this mix. He just slides into the wreck. But I believe it all started there with the 34 of Garrett Austin. And that's what's going to bring out the caution flag number 1 as he was sideways somewhere in the corners. We take a look right here. Oh, he just gets 10. He got a lot of help, too.
Yeah, a lot of help might be the right word. Oh, man, that's hard.
He got extra help there.
And you know what? And let's talk about that for a second, Terry. You watch that replay, and if you're not, maybe you're a friend or a family member watching, you're like, how did he hit that guy? Like, what happened there? But you and I both been there. Brakes don't mean stop instant. Brakes mean slow this truck down, right? And how many times, if I had $1 for every time I've heard someone say, hold your brakes in iRacing, I wouldn't be here right now. But, but all kidding aside, those brakes don't stop instantly, right? They slow you down, and it's hard. Watch this here. This is going to be from the 60. So, yeah, he's already got trucks in front of him, says vision's limited. There's the spin.
Oh, he's backing it down, but there's nowhere to go. He's going into somebody.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to get to is what do? You're backing it down. You're trying to slow it down, but if he goes down to the left to get inside, he causes a bigger wreck. That's hard to do. That's a skill that I think is so underrated and so underappreciated is wreck avoidance.
Well, and you talked about some pit strategy potentially going underway. Brendan Chatley in 21st, he pitted Sullivan, McGarvey, Panzarella, Austin Hunter, Brendel, Emmanuel, Hillman, Peltz. They all came down pit lane. It is from 21st on back on pit lane as we go. But Garrett Austin, 1 lap down, about to go 2. Philip Beaver, he's going to go some laps down. Colton Easterday as well is still sitting on pit road with potentially some damage. But you talked about the strategy. It is going to be 8 laps better on fuel than the remainder of the field, and also tires, because every one of them walked out of there with 4 fresh Goodyear tires on it. That means a ton early on here at Chicagoland with this speedway.
Yeah, this is a track that's kind of abrasive. It does eat up your tracks, eat up your tires. It'll also eat up the track, but that's a separate conversation. But no, it eats up the tires. And so that can be helpful, especially at a track where you want to draft and you want to have grip in these corners. It won't mean a lot right now. We're going to go green in a lap or two. It's not going to mean a whole lot yet. But 10, 15, 20 laps, if we go that long in a green flag run, when those front guys are struggling, those guys in the back have a little extra something ready to go here. I like this call.
Just a little extra grip is all you look for around here, and it's a shame that we don't come to this racetrack anymore, but it's good that the trucks are here on iRacing. You might not get this in real life, but you can always get it virtually, and if you're a new member who wants to subscribe to iRacing, it's iRacing.com and claim your 40% off to become a new member here. Work your way through the entire system to get up to the A license and potentially come race here in the PRL. As we take a look at our track conditions, 115-degree track temp with 78-degree ambient temperature, humidity at 55% with the winds about 2 miles per hour. I mean, it's July 1st in the sim is where the truck race would it would commence down on us, which would be on a Friday afternoon. But we're double fouled again behind the pace car sedan, getting ready to go back green flag racing.
And, you know, I think the theme of the night, Terry, before we go green here, is the unknown on both these races. This is, of course, a track that I think held its last official NASCAR race, 2 or 3 years ago. So there's some unknown here. We don't come here enough for most drivers to have knowledge of this track. In an hour or so, we're going to go to a track we've never been to before in the Chicago street course. So I think, weirdly enough, we're in Chicago for both races, and we don't know about the track that much for either race.
Had a couple good races here in the sim. Always have a good time coming to the Chicagoland Speedway. Multiple grooves of racing. Always fun to see what these truckers can do, but it's time to see what Hayden Palumbo can do here on this restart, as he was on the outside front row to start this race. He was right next to Karikoff, but now he puts Karikoff behind him where Cody Atkins was on the start. Cody jumps up to the outside front row. They're in the hands of Barney the Flagman for restart number 1. The official start was it makes it 2. Green flag racing. Hayden Palumbo with the 25 takes the green flag, and we're already fanning 3 wide before we even get to the line. We go 2 by 2 into 1 all the way throughout the field, but the first 3 trucks are able to kind of break away here. It's Shane and Dice fighting it for the top 5 position, or Brett Adams fighting. Shane's starting to come into the picture as well here in that 6th place spot. The battle for 4th does heat up, and it starts to go away as Brett Adams in the 05. He works his way up there. But you talked about single file racing. We ain't getting that in the mid pack.
No, we're not. And they want to get somewhere. They want to get up to the front and hopefully away from whatever wrecks may happen in this race, Terry. So no, they're not going to single file for a while. What that will do, though, is that likely will allow the single file drivers ahead of them to start to put a gap on them.
We see back here with Stephen Kirby. He's sitting in the 15th position with Zachary Austin in 16th in the 45 truck. He's back here side by side fighting it out. With that would be Brendan Chatley, one of our first drivers on 4 fresh tires, starting to make that outside lane to come in. We'll see what the 45 can do. You see the 59 back there. You see a couple other drivers, the 77 of McGarvey working his way up to 19th. Fresh tires starting to commence through this field. I know they've only gained 3 spots, but that's a net gain for a lot of them.
Yeah, and the question, is about where were they before? Listen, but no one in the top 10 was going to pit right there, I don't think, right? There's a 3 wide here, using that banking on that apron to get there. No one in the top 10 was going to pit, right? It's all about what can the guys in the back do. You'll hear me as oh, look at that battle for the lead there. Got a little close there, Terry.
Cody Atkins went for the side draft to make it past into turns 3 and 4, but the 81 rockets his way to the front. That Toyota TRD, he wanted the lead. He leads it now, coming to lap 16. We just completed 15. Now Palumbo's there. Brett Adams is there. Karikoff is there. They're all on top of each other. It's a 4-truck breakaway all the way back to Adam Shane. It's the 25 starting to look a little tight there. Here comes Karakov to the inside for P2.
I'll get back to my thought for a second. Listen, we're in Chicago. We're in a wrestling city. We're both wrestling nerds. I'm going to use a quote from Eric Bischoff, who says that in order to be successful in life, you have to be better than, less than, or different than someone in order to beat them at something. Those guys in the back, they need to do something different than the guys up front. That's why they pitted. To have a different strategy, to try something, see if they can, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but you're never going to know if you don't try.
Well, they always say if you try and you don't succeed, try again. And they do always try again. If you follow the leader a million times, you're going to get the same result a million times over. So for a lot of those drivers not wanting to play follow the leader all race long, get off sequence, get off strategy. Brendan Chatley's all the way up to 16th now. You see the difference in the corner. You saw the way they were able to roll the corner a whole lot better. It moves him up to 14th now. He made a 2-for-1 special there through the center into the banking on the front straightaway. And when he gets into the corner here, you see the drivers with the fresh tires can make that middle lane work, get on the throttle quicker, and don't have to worry if they're going to wash up or not. But grip is at a premium as Kevin McGarvey's just trying to follow Chatley, and now he goes to pass him.
I'll tell you what, that apron move right there, that was impressive, Terry, because in 5 or 10 laps from now, when those tires start to wear, you will not be as smooth down on that apron as he was right there. Now we're going to watch Kevin McGarvey in the 77 here come around, but I was highly impressed by that move on apron. Yeah, new tires here is what's happening. So I just want to point that out later. That will not happen as this run goes on.
Especially with the track dip being 115, you go all the way back up here to the 79 machine. That's Adam Shane fighting Steve Loving. Remember when I told you Steve Loving, not much of a qualifier, but a fast racer. He's worked his way into the top 5, trying to chase down these leaders. And the one thing that has been a staple in Steve Loving's racing is he is not afraid to give it 110% on every single lap. As you see right there, he got a little loose. That allows the 79 of Shane to come back underneath here with Alan Dice's assistance. He's going to go side by side into turns 3 and 4. He goes all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. Try to see if he can hold that momentum up, as it's about to be a 3-car fight here for this top 5 position.
See here just a little bit, that car getting that small draft from behind is going to probably eke out the run here into turn 1. And now could clear down to the bottom if he wants to, but I think he's happy in that middle group right there, Terry.
Oh, that 79 just looks really loose there, trying to straddle the seam. Not necessarily the place you want to find yourself at Chicagoland. The seams are not your friend. They are food, and they will treat you like food. As you see Dice, he straddles just a little bit, but he went in between the seams that we have here. Didn't want to get on top of one of them to loosen himself up. If you want a fresh tire update, Kevin McGarvey has worked his way to the top 12, closing in on Baron Hilton in the 11th place position. And now Richard Pruitt, another driver who's back here fighting it out. It's a massive fight here for these positions. You got the 03. You got a ton of drivers sitting right on top of each other. That's Ryan Traver in the 30. He might be dyslexic with his paint scheme because those are backward numbers. Very backwards. It's the 30, not the 03. And now McGarvey's looking for a top 10 spot with Baron Hilton on the front straightaway. He's going to get this, and he might get this pretty easy into 1.
Yeah, he might. If we can go further back in the field, even go back to P20 to Dallas Sullivan. There's a great battle happening back here as well. I mean, this is Austin Hunter, Dallas Sullivan. That's right. Dallas Sullivan, CM Pennington back here as others. This is a tight battle. There are battles all across this track, Terry, and I'm amazed with how well these guys are racing here and keeping it clean. Racing maybe harder than Nashville, but man, it looks so much cleaner.
Yeah, you talk about with Dallas Sullivan, he was loose as soon as we kicked the camera shot on him. You can see that truck get a little bit out of shape, but he gathers it up. He holds it here. He's got CM Pennington right behind him. He's got Austin Hunter right in front of him. Tom Macy's back there in 22nd. A ton of good drivers sitting here in these in the back part of this field. Some of them on fresh tires who just necessarily don't want to push that hard. They understand that people are going to have to pit, and they're going to be able to make some time up. No sense in burning them down this early in the race. There was going to be a 3-wide battle back here. They always say that the front's calm and the mid-pack's not. That's a good saying, because, Oh, we almost lost Richard Pruitt there down the back straightaway. He came off a 1, and that almost was a day over.
That was scary. And he's still right in the bottom. Is he thinking about... No, he's just having a hard time. It almost looked like he was thinking about pitting for a second, Terry, but I think he's just having a hard time.
But you always have a good time with insurance, like Progressive. But
Tell you what, for someone who's having a hard time with that handling that car, he certainly was committed to that apron right there. Which my experience in the trucks is if you're having a hard time handling, the apron is not your friend.
Well, I don't think Tom Amace is going to be his friend either with the 45 of Zachary Austin to the outside. It's Tom Amace gets a really good run in the corner, and that checks up Alex Hillman in the 11. Checks up Emmanuel as well. Everybody bottleneck behind the 24, Richard Pruitt. Nobody wants to get stuck in that that little bit of traffic that you had right there. It almost was a bad day for a lot of drivers. Who's having a really good day is Cody Atkins. Took this race lead not too long ago and hasn't looked back yet. He's pulled it to a 7/10 of a second lead. But it's 3 wide back here, and this is not what you want to see if you were a driver that pitted either, because you're fighting in traffic. You're allowing the other drivers to get away from you, and now you're burning your tires up in this back portion of it.
Yeah, it sounds like Garrett Austin's down pit road, I think I'm hearing, by the way, Terry. So regular green flag stops have begun. This is where those 8 laps will make a difference. Oh, he's damaged. I apologize. So it's just not a normal stop. By the way, I want to say, Terry, this is our second week together, and there's that 45 truck we saw on the camera a second ago. Is it just me, or does it kind of have the colors of the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine?
Oh, it definitely does. The 45 knows how to get a truck around, but I think it's flamingos that's sitting all over that thing for Zachary Austin from RaceSpoke Motorsports. Having a decent run. Normally when Richard Regan Jr. And RaceSpoke bring a driver into the developmental side of things, you always seem to expect him to ride up front. But that's not the case. He has to get used to this series, has to get used to the coaching that they provide over there, the development of every driver that we get. As you look here, oh, there's almost a big old development going on as Tom Amace gets loose, puts it 3 wide up the middle. He's the meat in that sandwich. Everybody else is going to go around. He's going to lose 3 spots really fast. And oh, he watches up there.
I thought the sketchiest move of all was the 39 there, who kind of washed up off the apron. There's a lot of etiquette about that apron, Terry. You know, as a guy in the apron, it is your responsibility to keep yourself safely back off that apron. No one needs to give you the room. I know there's maybe some entitlement that happens in iRacing where you think I'm supposed to let you back up off the apron, but no, if you get yourself down there, you've got to get yourself off there safely. But boy, that was a tight squeeze that guy pulled there out the last corner. This one's a lot cleaner.
And we see here, we're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. We'll see if all of these drivers on older tires can hang on to this as Colton Easterday is going to go to the bottom. They're going to make a little bit of contact, not enough to ruffle the feathers. See what that 11 can do of Alex Hillman, as he's going to wash up the racetrack, get out of this 3 wide move. Got Tom Amace to the bottom. It's 2 by 2 for well back in the pack. We're talking all the way back for the battle for 24th. So, I mean, these drivers are really starting to intensify where they want to go with this race. As we've clicked off a good bit of time, a massive chunk of this race. We're just under 20 minutes.
So I wanted to ask you, you know, obviously you've raced in this series before, and you've been a part of, you are part of one of the teams. In a series like this, where now we have split tracks on the same night, does it make it harder to get practice and get advice and counsel from your teammates because they're also focused on a different track, or do you think that doesn't affect some of these teams as hard as I think it does?
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't really hurt it a ton. You know that a lot of drivers will figure it out as the battle for second goes on. Brett Adams goes to the outside here, or to the low side. Matthew Karakoff to the outside. On older tires, that outside lane really starts to work well. We'll see if Karakoff can get it done here as they go to complete lap number 33. We're going to see here what the 00 can do. Can Karakoff go up here and challenge Cody Atkins as this side-by-side battle is really letting the leader start to check out a little bit. And we're going to look at Thomas Brindle here, who caught the wall. Oh, he wall read too. I'll comment to the chat. We focus on where the battle's at, not where you want us to focus. We focus where the battle's at. And we see it all. If there's a battle going on for 20th and there's nothing for the lead, we're going to look at the battle for 20th. Y'all whine about it on Twitter that NBC and Fox don't cover racing. We're here to cover racing. We're not here to follow the leader the whole race. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. We're going to see where side-by-side action is. Sweet. Yeah, good talk.
That said, though, I do want to have a talk about P8 real quick, Terry. That's Kevin McGarvey. He, as far as I can tell, is the highest running driver who took tires during that first and only yellow we've had so far. So obviously he has done well. He's taken himself back in the 20s, now up to P8. So he's having a good night and having fun in his truck, it would seem.
Well, and the good part about this is so you see Kevin McGarvey. You talked about the tire strategy that he played. Brendan Chatley as well, starting to come up here and work his way. What we originally saw was, and what we thought we were going to see, and this is going to be crazy, we saw Zach Panzarella, that he was going to get up there, and he was going to figure that out. But it turned out that it was Kevin McGarvey that had the spot there. But you see, you figure out where the drivers are going to go. You go where they're not, and that's what Kevin McGarvey's been able to do. He's caught all the way up to the drivers who are up there in the front. As you see back here behind him, there's Brendan Chatley getting under Adam Shane. Shane's been in the top 5 majority of the race. Now he's starting to get passed by these guys who came in 28 laps ago. So everybody else is on 37, 38 lap old tires, and now we're starting to see the 8-lap benefit start to come through this field as now we have racing up front for the first time in a while.
Yeah, that racing up front's going to start to happen. The drivers now realize there's only 16 and a half minutes left, so now you got to start making moves and get yourself ready. On the left side of your screen now, that number, by the way, the 0 and the 1, that shows how many times people have pitted in this race. So if it's a 1, they've pitted. Obviously, if it's a 0, they haven't. I think that was like self-explanatory, but we'll still go through it.
Got some drivers starting to come down pit lane. Zachary Austin comes down. Ryan Traver pitted. Ronald Overbay pitted as well. But I don't necessarily think that we're going to start to see a lot of drivers come down pit road this early, as actually, shockingly enough, our leader started to come down as well. But Zachary Austin, he was well off the pace when he came down pit road.
Oh, that's hard. Oh, that's a wall hit. Man, that's hard. I don't know how to... Oof. But you know what, Terry? Let's bring that conversation back, though. That's the thing we talked about at the start of this race. There's a lot of drivers all across iRacing, PRL or officials or NIS or other leagues who do not practice pit road entrance. It is a skill. It's a talent. It is necessary. Please spend time practicing it.
I mean, we saw Kevin Harvick, for anybody who watched the NASCAR on NBC broadcast from Nashville in practice. I believe it was on the USA Network. He came down and pitted under practice, and he did it 4 or 5 times to make sure that he could get to the gear, that he could figure out where he wanted to stop, where he wanted to go. And now a lot of drivers don't pit in practice. Shockingly enough, last season, it was actually a rule that they put in place that I figured out, that I actually figured out how to get down pit lane, how to get it in gear. As Karakov and Palumbo has pitted, Barron Hilton, Zach Panzarella, Dalton Geyer are all on pit lane. But I agree with you, Derek. It is very important to figure out how to get on pit lane so you don't have a big old mess like this is down here.
Well, in fact, if you watch, and you know this because you've done some of the broadcasts, if you watch the practices that lead up to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, you'll see those guys smoking pit road for like the last, 10, 15 minutes of practice because they want to get it right as well.
Oh, was that Alan Dice almost missed pit lane, almost hit the commitment cone there in the 5 truck. That almost was a bad day, as Brendan Chatley was the one who stays out. He's on 34 lap old tires. That was our first, or one of our only drivers to stay out, as now Pruitt stays out. He's on the oldest tires so far. We got Emmanuel, Colton Easterday up front as well. how long do these drivers stay out from 8 laps on their tires? Well, he answers that. Brendan Chatley comes down pit road now.
I think sometimes what happens, though, is even though you have that advantage, Terry, you get scared about, you know, what are you giving up by not pitting? Now, what he gains by pitting here, though, is less time on pit road. He should not need to take as much gas as the other guys did, or take as much time. He has more gas than they do.
That's actually a really good point. Less time on pit lane for the drivers who came down on lap number 8 on the first caution and the only caution, I will knock on wood, of the night so far. As you take a look at this side-by-side battle that's going on back here, it is an absolute traffic jam here in Chicago, Illinois. It's the Chicagoland Speedway for the Truck Series. The fastest lap has now been set by Steve Lovin, 31.236 here on lap 44 of the evening, as our leader is Richard Pruitt. Colton Easterday, Timothy Emmanuel sitting in third. Ryan Traver will assume the 4th place position when Smith is, oh yeah, the 24, hard in the wall he goes. He bounced it a couple times there. Pruitt is not having he's not having what he wants to have, as he got forced to stay on that outside lane, as there goes Baron Hilton around him. Alan Dice is not far behind, and he's going to have a hard time wanting to come down pit lane.
Yeah, now the real nightmare scenario right now, Terry, would be a yellow. We're not done with pit cycles. I think I'm seeing 10 drivers scored on the lead lap as of this moment. So these drivers want to get this cycle done before a yellow comes out, because you get trapped a lap down here with 11 minutes to go. The odds of you ever getting it back are slim and none. And I think Slim just left.
Slim went home. What I'm going to do right when this race is over, I'm gonna most definitely go home. I'm literally sitting at work. I can see all the traffic going around me. I'm still in my uniform, just having a good time. So I'm very, very committed to sitting here at work.
So if we can take the focus over to Dallas Sullivan for a second up here in P9 as we're running around. I had a chance to talk to Dallas earlier. Said I'm excited for this race. Should be a nice and fast race. Well, he was right so far, Terry. Said so I'll be using the draft. Sorry, I said it also seems like here it can get kind of tight with something that trial tricky. But he was looking forward to it and said it'll probably get nice and strung out as the race goes on. So he's kind of a Nostradamus of this race, Terry, because he's nailed it better than we did.
He is pretty smart. Just take a look at Colton Easterday. You've got some Easterday fans. You got some Richard Pruitt fans out there in the chat. Chatting it up is the 79 is going to shoot that thing 3 wide. He's going to go get his lap back. You see right there. Here comes the, it's getting messy.
Almost 4.
The 45, the 312. They're all trying to get their laps back here, and they're all going to get it done. But Colton Easterday, your new race leader here at Chicagoland Speedway, a ton, and I mean a ton of people still staying out on the racetrack. I mean, you've got 3 sitting up front. Pruitt's almost in the wall again. The 39's back here as well. Those 3 sitting out, trying to figure out what's the best way to go about this race. And now, the crazy part about it is we don't have the answers.
No, we don't. But I'm starting to wonder if Richard Pruitt is just waiting for the yellow, or if he's thinking he can make. I don't think he can make it. I could be wrong, but maybe he does, because he's really in it for the long haul here, Terry. He's committed to this strategy.
Well, he hasn't pitted at all in this race. Shockingly enough, yeah, he's the only driver on this track, period, that has not made a pit stop in this race. He has 50 laps on those tires. Yeah, he's definitely going to have to come now. I mean, 50 laps was a very far stretch, and here he comes. The 39 is going to come down as well. That's going to leave the 9 of Colton Easterday on the racetrack to see if he's going to stay out and play this long strategy. He's got Brendel to the outside of him in the 22 machine. Can the 9 go all the way to the end here, or is he going to be one of those drivers that has to pit, but he's going to lose a ton of track position?
Well, you said there were Richard Pruitt fans in the chat, and now I know why, Terry, because let me tell you something. To be on 50 lap tires and to be that smooth in your pit road entrance, that shows a lot of skill there by Richard Pruitt. That was a great pit road entrance. I was really gripping on tight, hoping that wasn't going to go poorly.
Yeah, he's got a ton of talent. But you see right here, Steve Loving was one of our first drivers to come down pit lane. He holds a 3.1 second lead over Cody Atkins. I'm not saying that Steve Loving is going to win this race, but I'm saying that's a really good strategy to jump out there and pit 3 laps sooner than your competition. Do the short pit and make them fight their way to you. He won one last season in this manner where he took the race lead at the undercut, and he went on to walk away with this win. But now you see behind him, Brett Adams, Matthew Karikoff fighting for the 4th place position. They're back on the lead lap. They're a measly 16 seconds off the race lead. But they know that it's going to cycle back through where it's Steve Loving taking this race lead with Cody Atkins sitting in 2nd.
Let's say what? Now here's a strategy for Easter Day as of this point, Terry. Think about it. These are timed races, folks. These are not lap races. There's no green, white checkers. There's no overtime. There's none of that. If we get to a point soon where the yellow comes out, we may not restart this race. Easter Day might just be holding on, hoping for a yellow to help win this race.
Well, if you take a look at his lap times, he's running a second slower. Now make that 2 seconds slower than our overall race leader. I'll say that because he hasn't pitted yet. So our race leader, if he pits, he's going to get past. But
yeah,
go ahead. Let's see. So he's half throttle here.
He's really trying to see if he can hold this race out and what he can get out of it.
He's clutching. He is clutching. He's clutching like crazy. He's baby clutching that thing instead of using brake. And here's why he's not using brake. You burn more fuel if you hit the brake. If you clutch it and get it to slow down a turn, you actually save a ton of fuel. That's a ton of clutch.
Yeah, that's a ton of clutch. So he is trying to see if he can hold on to this race. He apparently thinks that he can make it the rest of the way, or at least make it to the potential yellow here. As his clock ticks down, these guys behind him will get more impatient, and maybe one accidental bump, one aggressive corner, one anything, and this race is his.
Crazy enough, he actually gained down the front straightaway on Steve Loving, and that was close with the 25 machine. He almost got popped in the back
right
there.
I think he left the 25 by, and that's why. Look at that. That's a draft. That is saving fuel right there for the 9.
Well, at Hayden Palumbo, something happened to him because now he's 2 laps down. That's a driver that pitted very, very early. It ended up going down. Oh, he turned him. He's in the wall. Oh, he saved it, though. Wow, he's going to lose a ton of time there. It's 5 seconds.
Let me tell you something, Terry. That way that 9 drifted up the track, it's almost like maybe he wasn't focused on what was around him, because that was weird.
It's very weird, but we'll see the damage when it comes by. Just a little bit of cosmetic damage, but it's 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes, 40 seconds to go for Colton Easterday. He's got a 4-second lead and falling. It is falling hard down to Steve Loving, who is only 1 second above Cody Atkins. So the fight for the lead is not over. And we'll keep our attention here for the keyboard people in the chat. They talk about we don't focus on the front. We'll focus on it here. Here's Steve Loving. This would be the net race leader if he can bring that time down 3.2 seconds all the way up to Colton Easterday. And then you got Cody Atkins, who's another second back from Steve Loving, who has the fastest lap time of the race and is consistently faster than Steve Loving by 0.2 of a second. So this is the fight for the win. 2.5 seconds separate the top 2, and then make it 3.5 seconds to separate your top 3.
Well, just like we thought would happen, Terry, as these tires wear out and as strategies play out, this race will start to really drift apart from each other. There'll be no more drafting. It'll be lots of drivers trying to find every oomph or every tick of a second they can here.
Oh, Colton Easterday's on that white line. He's having to pit. He's out of fuel. Pit lane, here he comes. That takes the lead to Steve Loving. Now the fight, 0.6 of a second. We'll see if the race leader, Steve Loving, can hold Cody Atkins off. He stretches it there, but the draft will come into play. It is 4 minutes to go, and it's 0.6 of a second. It's going to separate the driver that came out of nowhere. He qualified 11th, and I said, watch and see. Steve Loving will be a contender in this race, and here's the 27 machine leading with 4 minutes to go. If he can hold on here, it's going to be pretty special for him. But the 81, he's in draft. He's in draft mode. He's half a second back now.
And real quick before you finish off, this race, focus on this battle. I want to talk about Easter Day for a second. Much respect to that move, by the way. He gridded 18th on the track. He was having a hard time before that first yellow. He needed to try something different, put himself in contention, and it really, honestly, was a yellow flag away from winning this race. That's an incredible strategy, and much respect to Colton Easter Day.
Corners have not been good for Steve Loving. Turns 1 and 2, he lost about a tenth. Turns 3 and 4, he lost another tenth. It's 0.2 of a second. Make it 3. You want to round up. We'll be technical here, but right here in the corner, you see it went from 0.3 to Cody. Oh, and he gained there because Cody Atkins straddled the line, almost lost it, but he gathers it up. The race is not over yet, and this reminds me of the old Johnny Sauter Ron Hornaday battle that we saw at Kansas Raceway some years back. I know I kicked the vault back just a little bit in time, but the only thing with Steve Loving at the moment is he has the draft in front of him. A machine that he's drafting off of, he's able to pull the toe down the front straightaway, but in the corners, Cody's able to wrap that bottom. If he can keep it from getting loose, he's going to have a really good run down the back straightaway.
I'll tell you what, man, as he's right in the bottom of that track, I'm getting nervous. The bottom of that track is not really safe to run, Terry. When you have new tires, that part of that track is scary for me on new tires. Here he is on older tires and trying to make it work. But man, when we had that onboard a second ago, the way his hands were moving through that corner, that was scary. And I'm sure it was scarier for him than it was for us, but that was scary. Watch it again. This is pretty good.
He's sawing it a little bit.
Man, roughly, that's not nearly as bad as it was in that one lap. Was it 2 laps ago, 3 laps ago?
Yeah, roughly about 3-4 laps to go. We'll see here. Steve Loving's playing defense. He tries to take the air off of Cody Atkins' nose. It works. It makes him check up just a little bit. 1/10 will separate him here. Cody's going to go all the way to the bottom, work his way back up. Try to keep in the draft here. Can he make the run in 1 and 2? He's going to make it side by side. It'll be wheel to wheel from off the corner down the back straightaway. Cody washes up a little bit. He gets loose again. Steve loose as well. It's 2 drivers fighting for the same real estate here. As they're going to come down here to 1 minute to go. That'd be 2 laps. Oh, they're all in the wall. Everybody's hitting the wall. Oh, but that's awful for Cody. He had to check up big time.
This, in a weird way, yeah, that's hard to say. I was trying to think of a way to benefit him, but it's not going to. He caught that traffic in a really bad spot, and that probably will. Oh man, look how sideways that truck was there, Terry. Oh.
Hey, sometimes you just gotta. Yeah, me too. Sometimes you just gotta send it. You know what I'm saying? You gotta risk it for the biscuit. And that's what Cody Atkins is trying to do here in that 81. He's trying to catch the 27 of Steve Loving, who is in a good bit of traffic with 2 trucks in front of him. He's gonna catch that truck. Oh, he caught that truck in a bad spot too. But here we go. White flags in the air. 1 lap to go at Chicagoland Speedway. Steve Loving's got the lead. He's got a lap truck separating him and the 81 of Cody Atkins. That lap truck's going to move out of the way. He's got the 420 to deal with now. We should be coming here to the checkered flag one more time through turns 3 and 4. The 81's going to send it in there. Not going to make that thing stick off of turns 3 and 4. Steve Loving with the strategy of a lifetime comes from the back to the front to win at Chicagoland.
That was incredibly close.
That's how you win a race. Strategy wins again. Short pitted that 40-something laps ago and takes this 27 lap old tires versus 24 lap old tires, gets the win done, and he made it count when it needed to count the most. And Steve Loving gets the win. And well, after our post-race interviews, we get to go to the unknown of the Chicago street course. So we're going to take a look at our finishing order here on the PRL NASCAR Truck Series side of things. 27 of Steve Loving gets it done. Cody Atkins back there with Brett Adams, Alan Dice for Loaded Dice Race, and Matthew Karakoff, Dallas Sullivan, Dylan Schmidt, Barron Hilton, Brendan Chatley, and Kevin McGarvey. Rounds out your top 10. Zach Panzarella, Austin Hunter, Becker in 12th. Dalton Geyer, Ryan Traver, Adam Shane, Stacy Hunter, Thomas Brendel, CM Punk Pennington, Timothy Emmanuel, and Richard Pruitt, your top 20. Tom Macy, Alex Hillman, Ronald Overbay, Zachary Smith, Robert Goff, Edward Peltz, Oliver Goff, Colton Easterday, Zachary Smith, and Hayden Palumbo, who had a great run and then fell back a little bit. And then we go to the used car lot, Stephen Kirby, Philip Beaver, Garrett Austin, and William Hartman. Those two drivers, Beaver and Austin, involved in the first caution. William Hartman, I don't think he ever started this race. Last week's winner got off to a bad start here. Let's a look at your finishing results top to bottom. And I'm going to hop over here and I guess pull people up. See if we grab our...
I'll do it.
We got Cody Atkins.
We can do that. Conversation here. Hold on a second. Someone wants to grab Cody Atkins when we can sit down and talk about our P2 finisher first. Cody Atkins is driver of the 81 machine P2. Cody, those last laps, you were everywhere. You were top, you were bottom, you were loose. What was it like out there?
It was a great run until I think I burnt the right rear up trying to get all I could after pitting a few laps later than I think I should have.
So I have to ask the obvious question. Do you feel as though the lap traffic was really a factor? Do you think you could have got there, or was that just sort of the inevitable?
I think it was the inevitable. I think I got there, but when I got there, he switched up his line, and I had no right rear. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I had nothing on exit when I got to him, and frustrating.
It looked frustrating from up here. I was glad we were sitting up here with how, man, there was one time you got down in the bottom, you touched the apron, and we just saw your hands sawing back and forth like you were, it was scary.
Oh, yeah, that was fun. It was loose, but loose is fast. It was fun.
Listen, next week's Mid-Ohio, it's our first road course on the schedule out of many on this schedule. How are you feeling about a road course?
I'm not too bad. So hopefully we can just keep the truck on the track, and that's all we should need to do is keep it on track.
Well, we're off to a road course for own here with Chicago Street Course next, so we're going to let you go. Is there anyone you want to say hello to or give thanks to?
Thanks to the BTDY guys and the Loaded Dice guys for their support every week.
Yeah, well, he is the driver, Terry, the number 81 machine. That's Cody Atkins. He finishes P2 tonight.
Yeah, P2 here this afternoon, but we're going to grab our winner of Steve Loving in the number 27 machine. And Steve, the short pit wins again. You got it done, but what a heck of a battle for the race lead.
Oh, it was close, man. I saw Corey coming. I was watching my mirror to watch his line. I was like, hey, this guy's going to get me. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I'm going to just take his line away and see what he does.
Well, you got the win early this season. I think that's the most important part is you get it early on. We go to Mid-Ohio next week, and I'm not sure what your thoughts of on road course racing, but the left and rights are never been my strong suit. What about you?
They're okay. This is where I wish I could tap out and call for a substitute driver, but missing last week kind of stunk. I really was hoping for the season to start a week late, but so that was a big zero. But this is a great way to rebound. Hopefully, I can keep it strong next week and the rest of the season. But it's a good group of guys out there. I like this club. Everyone seemed to run pretty good. It was great racing. I had an awesome time for the last 5 minutes. Won't lie, my anxiety was going up.
Well, speaking of the rest of the season, you going to miss any more? Potentially put yourself out of championship contention?
No, I'm good. I got my get out of jail free card. Had to plug in the race one, so I just got to keep it clean and avoid everything from this point forward. And hopefully, I can be there at the end. We'll see.
I tell you what, congratulations on your win here tonight. It was always a pleasure getting an interview and get to call you to a win. I always enjoy speaking to Steve. Yeah,
quick shout out, Terry. You and everybody does an awesome job broadcasting. Really appreciate it. And I want to thank Josh Daniels and Love Racing for all the support, and Charles for doing all the work behind the scenes, keeping everybody sane and organized running this league. So that and PRL, everybody's fantastic.
Well, I almost wanted to call you Steve Lovings, but you don't like that, so.
You can call me whatever you want, Terry. I thought we're close like that.
I like it, Steve. We'll see you next week. Hopefully, congrats on the win here tonight. That's Steve Lovin, race winner here this afternoon. We'll grab P number 3 as well as Brett Adams is sitting in here as well, and he's standing by with Derek Watson.
Brett, really great job in P3 tonight. Kind of a crazy race, only the one caution. A big contrast to last week. How do you feel about the race tonight?
Well, thanks for having me, guys. This is actually my first race back in PRL after taking 2 years off. So happy to be back and glad to get a P3 out of the deal. Yeah, I thought it was fun up front. After that pit cycle, had the lead for a moment there and then lost it again to those guys. But yeah, it was a blast being out there.
Awesome. Well, great job tonight. As you watched the battle for first and second, rage on the last couple laps, did you think you had anything for it, or were you just kind of, hey, I'm in third and that's where it's going to finish?
Yeah, I burned my stuff up after that last cycle, so it's everything I could do to hold on and not fall back to fourth. So I'm pretty happy with where I finished up.
Well, your second race back in PR will be a road course at Mid-Ohio, Mid-Ohio track. How are you feeling about that?
Time to start practicing.
That's how I think a lot of you guys out there are going to feel. Well, Brett, great job tonight. Welcome back to PRL. We're happy to see you.
Thanks. And if I could just real quick, shout out to my wife, Lindsay, for putting up with me doing this, my oldest son, Parker, who's out in the other room watching, and thanks to you guys for putting on a great show.
You're welcome. Thank you to Lindsay and Parker for letting him be here with us. Real quickly, we're going to wrap up our interviews for this truck race by grabbing Colton Easterday, and I believe he's with Terry Radford.
Colton, what are you doing, man?
Kind of disappointed.
What are you disappointed in?
The one race where we only have one caution is the race that I would have won if there was another caution.
Yeah. Did you run out of fuel, or did you couldn't make it?
I ran out of fuel, man. I'm telling you, if that caution would have been 5 laps later, I probably would have made it. But even then, I don't think I would have won, but I would have been on the lead lap.
Yeah, it looked like you were doing all right till you got turned into the wall a little bit when you went to go up and block.
Yeah, I lost focus. That was 100% on me. That wasn't his fault. That was I messaged him and we talked about that. That was 100% on me.
Well, what are you going to do next week at Mid-Ohio?
Probably not a ton, to be honest.
Good honesty.
Road course is not great for me.
Well, I'm sure we'll debrief on my drive home after the races here tonight, but anybody want to shout out Colton?
Thanks to all the people watching. Thanks to Dinner Detective for sponsoring me. If you guys like dinner theater, check them out. Other than that, just I'm happy with my performance, even though it didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. So,
well, you might have finished a little bit far in the back. You might have finished 28th, but you're number one in all of our hearts. That is Colton Easterday. Had a heartbreak run out of fuel. Had to come down pit lane, but I tell you what's not going to be a letdown like he thinks this performance was. It's the race that we're about to do right meow. It is. We'll do the next race. Yeah, absolutely. So the next race for the PRL Truck Series is Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. I don't know why I want to call it park. July 5th, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Derek Watson and myself, Terry Radford, will be on the call for that for road course number 1 for the Truck Series of, I believe, 2 we'll have here. But we're about to do road course race number 1. And now over for the NASCAR Xfinity Series drivers for the awesomeness of what is going to be the 2023 Cup version of the Chicago Street Course made by iRacing. And, well, this might be the only place you ever race on it again. Atlanta Motor Speedway is going to be next week's for them. The high banks of it with New Hampshire, Pocono, Road America getting the full course there. Michigan, Indianapolis road course, Watkins Glen, the Cup version with no boot. And it's just going to be the chicane of the carousel. And then Daytona, going to race it down there. We'll take a look at the point standings here for the Xfinity Series after 1 week. Richard Regan Jr., last season's champion, gets it. Adam Zemke with a good run last week at Nashville. Second, Bradley Hiley, who's still looking for a win on Wednesday nights for the first time in 2 seasons. Sits in third, Thomas Sink. Joey Tebbin, he told me I had to change his name. I couldn't call him Joseph no more. Joey Tebbin sitting in 5th. Mark Kalin, Abner Acosta, Jim Westerfield, Chad Kibbe, Matt Gagnon, your top 10. And that's going to change a ton after this week into next. We'll take a look at the team standings as well. We don't have the team one, but I can tell you Regenboog Motorsports leads it. That's all you need to know, is they're probably going to lead it the rest of the way. We'll take a look now at the drivers on the racetrack here for the Chicago Street Course, and you got a ton of notes for this one, Derek, I'm sure.
We'll talk a lot about the driver interviews. I had a chance to sit down with some of the drivers today and talk about this course. There's a lot of nerves, a lot of tension. Look at that beautiful fountain there. I don't know, have you been, maybe you have, I don't know. I've been to Chicago many times. I've been to where this track is. I'm stoked for this race, both in virtual and real life, only because I know that place. I've been there. I've walked these sidewalks. I'm sort of nerding out seeing it happen. But yeah, this is a tight course, Terry. Listen, you know, eNASCAR was here last night. They've done it before. There's not a lot of passing in these corners. That's the biggest thing to remember. It's all about these two big straightaways. I think it's where you're going to see most of your passing here.
Well, I took some notes, but they're sitting at home. But the ones that I remember, I'll PG them for you because the drivers gave me the rated R version of a lot of it in a good little chat. And they just said flat out, this is going to be chaos. And if you miss the corner, you miss your braking point by an inch, you are up Poops Creek without a paddle. If you get on the throttle too quick, well, you're up the creek without a paddle as well. There's gonna be a lot of drivers, a lot of slipping and sliding here in this field, and it's going to be one entertaining thing to watch because the Xfinity car, that's where racers race, is right here in this car, the most challenging one to drive. And you saw the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series do it last night. They put on a great show with Parker White and Bobby Zelensky putting a fight down here. Wouldn't be too surprised with a lot of our road course drivers come up here and put a good one.
Are you telling me Bobby Zelensky was dominant at a road course? Is that really?
Parker had a good run. Parker led a good bit of the laps, but the undercut won the race there. We'll see if the undercut wins the race here as Richard Regan Jr. Shockingly enough, he told us last week, Derek, I don't like road courses. I'm not good at this. Look at him. He's leading it with Ted Lowendick. That's a driver right here. We're watching him sliding that bad boy off the corner. This is a road course ringer that Joey talked about last week to us, that he was going to have a good run. And here he sets P2. Abner Acosta, your road course guy. Jeff Evans, a good road course racer as well, right there, who's had a win in the GT3 series, riding in that top three. But Ted Lowendick's a driver that can very well use every square inch of the racetrack. He's going to be a force to reckon with here. We'll have a 3-horse, maybe 4-horse fight for this race win once it's all said and done.
Yeah, I've watched Teddy race multiple times in road course races, so in road racing. So I'm not surprised. Oh, look how tight that is, a wall. Don't want to do that. Go ahead, kill that run and start over.
There's Jeff Evans right here, the number 51 machine, attempting here to pick up on lap number 2. See if Jeff can find a full second. That's a lot to pick up, especially on a road course. He's always told me that finding tenths here are good. Finding seconds is never where you want to put yourself, but he's done a good bit of practice as Brownlee Holly's picked up. He jumps ahead of him to the 4th place position. Jeff's going to see if he can go through the rest of these corners and get it done, as he's been going around the fountain here soon. That's going to be the most intriguing spot, is the fountain. Everybody always says it's like Long Beach, but on steroids.
It's a good reference, and sort of like Long Beach I was going to talk about. You know, keep in mind, Terry, this is our first ever, as far as I can remember, our first NASCAR street race. Of course, we've done road racing. We've done it in the States. We've done exhibition races internationally. But a street course, a lot of NASCAR fans have been yelling for this. So here you go. Here's your street course in a very popular city, in a very bumpy city. So this will not be a smooth ride. In fact, we got a quote last week that I think I heard someone say, there are pimples that are not as bumpy as this track. At least their quote we were told after the broadcast last week.
Yeah, but the funny part is you reference the fans wanting a street course. Right, Abner Acosta jumps to the top of the board. He tops Richard Regan Jr. That's intriguing, as Richard finds himself now second. But you talk about the fans. I'm not sure they know what they want. They whine to get it, then they whine when they got it. Because they didn't want it here at Chicago. They wanted something else. So
well, I think the concern about the track, to be fair, Terry, is it's about the track itself. Like, when you think of a road course, if you think maybe a Long Beach, or you think of the Nashville Street Circuit that IndyCar uses, or you think about the new Detroit Street Circuit, it's a little bit more sophisticated than this track. There's a couple more corners. They're not all this tight. I think the concern with not seeing the race in real life really has to do with the tightness of these corners, that it's maybe not a lot of passing zones. I think that's the question for both the virtual races and the real life race on Sunday.
It's going to be intriguing to see what our PRL drivers can do as I wait for my timing to update here. We'll take a look at our starting grid here in just a moment. Jose Acosta makes a good point. He said he's going to be bad at Sunday night's race. No room for mistake, no grass, no sand to forgive your mistakes. There are nothing but walls here. Walls and tire barriers is all you're going to find around here. But you know what you're going to find up front? You're going to find Abner Acosta, the road course guru and the tire wizard. He's going to start alongside Richard Regan Jr., last season's champion and last week's winner. Ted Lowendick back there in third, Bradley Holly in fourth, Jeff Evans and Mark Kalin, your top six. Go back there to seventh, where you got Reese Bogue, Nick McLaughlin, another road course driver that's coming here with Atomic Racing, that's ready to shake this up with Thomas Seek, Adam Zemke, Joey Tebben, RaceSpot's own back there in 11th, and Ryan O'Connor rounds out your top 12. 13th, where you're going to find Nicholas Hunter with Doug Evans to his outside, Charles Sumner, Skip Gandy, Matt Gagnon, and Colton Lane, your top 18. 19th is Nick Byer, Mike Knight, Patrick Cowgill, Jacob Emery back there for Bull Creek Racing North in 22nd. Mike Witt with the Dale Jr. throwback in the 88 23rd, and Jeremy Bailey for Bull Creek Racing South in 24th. With Danny Cervantes not putting a qualifying time down, Brett Karakoff, Chris Justice, and Jim Westerfield rounds out your 28-car field for the inaugural PRL Xfinity Series race at the Chicago Street Course. Didn't our admin say something interesting about this track?
Yeah, you're sort of beat me to the same idea. I was going to try to pull it up here. From the admin's point of view, lost my spot. That's okay. It was basically said this for the league. The real emphasis will be turns 4 and 5. That's what they talked to the drivers about, how being safe in there. And before the fountain, they're really the only spots that worry the admins as far as full carnage or a full course blockage is what we're talking about. PRL has always taken a stance about road courses of not putting a yellow out unless there's a full track blockage that causes that. And the admins are concerned that for the first time ever, we might have to see a yellow on this road course.
It's going to be interesting to see. Is still waiting on the timing to update here.
No, speaking of turns 4 and 5, I will say there was a funny quote today by Ted Lowendick where he said, "If you try to visit the McDonald's in turns 4 and 5, it'll be your last meal."
Well, if you didn't know, it's almost a birthday for Gremlin, so you can always get a good burger right there. But I'm Team Wendy's. Because Wendy's is the official spot for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. So that McDonald's sign.
Wendy's, if you pay attention to my tweet earlier.
That you were Team Wendy's. You did have Wendy's out there. I saw that.
I'm still trying.
Yeah, you're getting it. You're getting it down. You're getting the quick ads going out that you hit right there, right? You have to stay brand supremacy here. At some point in time in this race, I'm going to go grab myself a nice cold Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Here in just a little bit.
Zero sugar, that's awful. So anyways,
it's delicious.
Let's talk real quick about this start, Terry. They're going to start here, and in my opinion, before you get to turn 1, you better be single file or you're going to have a really short race here.
What's that old saying? You're going to have a bad day if you do something not the right way. You see how these drivers are staying sort of kind of single file.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that. Are they just single file on purpose, or do we? Okay, sorry, I was caught if we were single file on purpose or if we were missing people who didn't grid. I think it's single file. Sorry.
I think we're single file. We're single file on purpose here. There's a reason that they're doing this. Everybody gridded here, so we're single file. I believe until we get to the certain point where we're about to take the green, everybody will start to bundle themselves up just to attempt. Here we go. We'll take it there. We'll take a look at our track conditions here. 78 degrees. It did not change from when we were just at Chicagoland Speedway. 2 degrees lighter on the track temp with 113 degrees with the wind still the same. Partly cloudy this time. It's the middle of the day here at 3:19 Eastern Standard Time. But for the first time ever, Chicago's street course of the PRL is green flag racing with Abner Acosta and Richard Regan Jr. about to barrel it into turn number 1. through turn 1. No carnage yet. They all start to fan through, snaking their way through the corner into turn number 2. So no carnage yet. We'll get through turns 2. We'll get down to this little short chute that we got right here before we get to another sweeping corner. And so far, so good as we get to the infamous McDonald's corner. The 4 of Reese Bogue. He's sitting in there.
So far, Terry, everything's pretty clean. I have to say I'm surprised, not about these drivers, just how tight this course is, that we're this clean so far.
Still clean. We get down here to these set of corners. We go single file through the entirety of this field. Nobody's wanting to go double file.
Now this corner is intriguing, Terry, because this is the first time in the track, if I recall right, where we're going to go from a 4-lane racetrack to a 2-lane racetrack. See that tightness right there as they're coming through this corner? So now you might have been 4 lanes wide, and now you have to make sure you're ready to be condensed into 2 lanes there, or it's going to be a wall hit in your future.
Second was too wide for just a moment, but it's itself out as Richard Regan Jr. separates himself from Bradley Holly. In that Whataback camp, I know we're still teammates, and when I do decide to race again, you know, I have a home with them, but they put a lot of practice. I know this because I was able to go in and study just a little bit what they was doing and watch some of the practice sessions that they did as a team, and they had a lot of time to go down here, but they knew that they were going to put a lot of practice and a lot of emphasis on this race because Abner Acosta, a very good road racer. So we put right here with Patrick Cowgill in that 31 machine. Got a little loose. Mike Knight kind of checked up just a little bit, got loose off the corner at 68 machine, just sitting there. There's Nick McLaughlin, a road course driver that has come into this season knowing that there's 4 opportunities for him to figure it out. He might not be phenomenal here at this one because he's learning the car. This heavy stock car on a road course, trying to get it slowed down, under braking left and right. There's Joey Tebbin fighting with Ryan O'Connor for a top 10 position. He's starting to settle in on his own to get the road course wise out. And there's Brett Karakoff in 20th. It's Danny Cervantes just got around him there for 19th, who didn't qualify, and there's some damage on the driver right in front of him in 18th. That's Matt Gagnon, who has front end damage already and rear end damage.
I don't think that's something that's going to be that unique here this week. If we can go back to Nick Laughlin for a second. Had a chance to sit down with him earlier today, and he says, "You're in for a doozy of a race. The temps have been hot all week in practice, and rear traction is in short order." He says in his experience, 3 to 4 laps is about all you're going to get of good tires, and then you wear them out. And then was a comment, a little wall hit there. As a comment all night long, he says the undercut will be important. He also says Atomic TNT needs to make the most of these road courses so that we can possibly win this points title.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they want to go for the individual title. I'm sure they would love to win it, but with the competition, it just the pure skill level that's here in the PRL, it's very hard to put yourself in that category to get a win. As you look right here, we're back with Matt Gagnon. I already knew who we were on. We're on the 14. He's got the damage. Cervantes gets around him. He gets loose there, and that is a very loose race car. And unfortunately for Matt Gagnon, I'm not sure road courses is necessarily his thing. Karakoff got around him as well. Cervantes got around him, and he's gonna get challenged here by Patrick Cowgill on that 31, who jumped up from the trucks from last season to come race the Xfinity Series as well. But oh, there's a bumper gone.
Not sure how that is, Gary. I'm trying to see on
Colton Lane's already having issues. The Tennessee Volunteer fan lost the bumper.
Oh man, he just cut those 2 drivers off right there, probably not on purpose. When you're, tell you what, Terry, when you're someone who has a hard time at a road course, there's a 60 on the top of it. See this replay here. Hold on. Gonna get to.
Oh.
I was gonna say, when you're a road course driver who has a hard time, or when you're not a road course driver, that's what I'm trying to say, and you're having a hard night, these races feel like forever. when that is the thing that's happening. So there was a funny quote also happened today amongst the drivers in their chat that I saw today that basically said, tire barriers forgiving, walls not forgiving. And I think that's the key for the night. If you're going to hit something, make it a tire barrier.
I just
Maybe
hit
don't
whatever.
hit anything. Yeah, I know.
I hit whatever. I'm a big fan of hitting whatever I can. But Skip Gandy here for SGE Esports, back here in the 16th place position, following Charles Sumner in that number 98, and they're right behind Doug Evans in the 41. Doug just holding his own. He's not too shabby on the road courses as well. Driver up in front of him, Smoke in the corner. We'll take a look. I believe that's Nicholas Hunter. That's right there in 13th. He had some issues, locked him up. No damage to the car, so the 109 still running great in 13th. It just lit him up.
And if we can say right on this camera side here, I also had a chance to talk to Charles. We're going to see a replay here real quick, and that's okay. Let's see what's going to happen here in this replay.
Oh, but he saved it.
He saved it. Nice job.
He saved it.
So for the 98, I had a chance to talk to Charles, both as an admin and then as a driver. He said his goal tonight is survive. He says these beasts are not well built for street courses. So my focus is really, if I go unnoticed, I probably had a good night. So sorry for the camera shot, Charles, but I think you're doing okay so far.
Yeah, you're not going unnoticed, Charles. We'll never. Oh, we were almost the jinx. Derek, we almost did it. He's gonna go watch us and be mad and mess at us that we put the camera on him.
Get a DM later.
Yeah, well, it's your fault. You're the one that told us to stay on the shot. So we're gonna blame Derek on that one. That is the admin man almost lost it there. But we're definitely single filing out here. You go right here, Joey Tebben. He made some contact with the back end bumper of that 95 of Ryan O'Connor. You see the damage on the front of Joey Tebben's car and the rear bumper of the Camaro there for the 95. Too wide here. Oh, the 95's gonna go. He saved it.
And you know, and this set of corners right here they just went through, that's actually a unique set of corners right there, Terry. And it's one of the few points of the track where it doesn't flip back and forth. A lot of times, if you're stuck on the outside of a corner side by side, you sort of set yourself up for the inside of the next corner. That right there where they just were is one of those few points where that's not the case.
Take a look at our race leader, Abner Acosta, 1.7 seconds above Richard Regan Jr., who still lied to us. He kind of told us that he wasn't a road course driver, and here he is sitting in second. He's gapping Bradley Holly into third place position. Interesting enough, we'll see if the short pit here works out as well as it did for a driver of Steve Loving in the Truck Series.
Yeah. By the way, this is Bradley Holly's second street course of the week. Terry, we saw Bradley Holly on Monday night in that LMP3 GT4 race at Long Beach, and he was out there competing, trying to get some road course experience in as well.
He's no slouch on road courses. Brad was a big help for me coming into COTA last season. He called me stupid a lot. Oh, it's the 62 of Mark Kalin does what he does best, and that's hit walls. Just kidding, Mark. Not kidding though. He's a big wall hitter, but that's Bubbles the wall sponge is what we called him last season. Let's take a look at the replay of the 32 machine.
Ooh.
Good save for the 32. What a save. He locked it up. That's Jeremy Bailey.
All kidding aside, I was going to kind of joke to say not a parking spot, but listen, let's give credit for a second. He stopped. He checked his relative. He knew who was around him before he decided to move. That is that's a talent that sometimes doesn't maybe happen in iRacing as much as we want it to.
Well, and so we were on the 32 there. I owe an apology. So last week, people said I was too hard on him. I was too mean. I took my frustrations out from last season. That's just a racer talking, right? Jeremy Bailey has learned a lot, and I never once realized how much it takes to run well in the PRL. I thought for sure I would come in there from the open side of things and I would be able to compete for wins, compete for a championship. That's far from it. I was competing for last. 90% of the time I competed for last. And we hear that the 52 of Chris Justice said, "Peace out, I'm leaving." He pulled the CM Punk, a Chicago native, for Money in the Bank. Peace out, dog. I'm out. I'm good. But Chris Justice retiring early from the race. He'll finish back in the 28th position. But I do want to apologize to the Jeremy Bailey crew for being a bit of a butthole last week. Nothing but love. Very talented driver, and he definitely showed it right there with missing that the inside wall and the others.
Yeah, for sure. You know, something we should probably talk about, Terry. This is, of course, a 50-minute race. It's 10 minutes longer than our truck race. I do not believe, unless you've heard otherwise, fuel-wise, these drivers should not have to pit during this street course race here in the Xfinity cars. However, maybe you want tires. Maybe tires are the reason you pit here tonight, and not fuel. That would be something quite different from most of our PRL races on this Xfinity series, I believe.
We'll definitely find out if pitting is necessary. I know if we do end up blocking the track, we'll definitely see if we see the caution flag, you're going to pit then. You see a lot of smoke right here. Nicholas Hunter again. That's Doug Evans. That's Skip Gandy as well in that little bit of kerfluffle, as Joey likes to call it. Having a bit of an issue right there for SGE Esports as I just dropped my phone on the floor.
We have a case on it. Let's go and watch a replay here. This will be Gandy. Nice. Oh, man, locked it up pretty hard. Oh, that's a wall hit. Nope. I thought he was just going to kind of send it in there and maybe transition it out. That's the one thing about the street course that is unique, Terry, is that if you send it into a corner here, there's Joey. There's Joey spun around. I was going to say, if you send it into a corner here, Terry, there's not a lot of runoff on out of a corner to fix it. This is what makes it different from like a Watkins Glen or somewhere. You don't get much opportunity to fix a mistake here.
I'm sad that I was plugging my computer up and I missed the Joey Tebbins spin, but I'll go back and watch it on demand at RaceSpotTV, as we're going to get a replay here, potentially, as he's about to get a challenge from the 109 of Nicholas Hunter. Doug Evans and Skip Gandy are still right there in the frame, and here comes the replay, just minding his own business. And
it's hot in the corner.
Too hot. Oh, wall he goes. And the 48 of Thomas Sink catches the back bumper for good measure.
That'd be, to make it, I'll have a word later for it. It's not synchronous, but whatever.
Oh, still loose.
So listen, here we are, 14, almost 15 minutes into this race. And I think quickly we're seeing the difference in road course talent, Terry. We're seeing Abner Acosta, Bradley Holly, Ted Lowendick up in 5th. We're seeing that road course talent rise its way to the front of the field pretty quickly here. And then we're going to see the drivers who maybe love ovals but don't love road courses find their way to the back of the field. This will be a big impact next week in the point standings when we mix these two races together, I think.
Yeah, that's the good part about the PRL this season, is you have to be skilled on all of it. You could not just be skilled on the oval side of things. The road course side of things is a major factor as well. And in the first 3 weeks, we've seen 1 1/3 miles, a road course, a street course, mind you. And then next week, we're going to see Atlanta. Right, we're going to see a track that is a 1.5 mile cookie cutter super speedway of sorts. So you have the, Colton Lane. Colton's not having a good time, and he might be looking forward to Atlanta before we ever leave Chicago.
Hey, can we talk real quick, though? That onboard, if Dustin doesn't mind going back to it for a second for Colton Lane, look how bumpy this track is, Terry. This is a street course, remember that. This is not a nice paved road course. Look at how much this car bumps around up and down and up and down. Let's watch it here for a second. It is not a smooth course by any means. That does not help you if you're not a road course veteran. That makes it harder to find your spots here.
Yeah, it definitely puts a strain on a lot of what's going on this afternoon. And unfortunately for a lot of these drivers, but not a ton of road course experience. I am one of them, so please do not take me as a road course expert.
Yeah, we are 2 of them.
I'm not a fan of road racing. I love watching road racing, but I hate driving road racing. I think it's dumb. And Jeff Evans just say, well, you just suck at it. That's why you don't do it.
And that's true.
You're right. It's something that Jose Acosta brought up in the chat. Lap traffic is going to play a factor, and here goes lap traffic already for Abner Acosta, and that's you can still see Richard in the distance. But what does the lap traffic do?
So let's talk about this for a second. Let's talk about some of the lap time differences here. So last time by Abner Acosta, 1:34.147. That's his lap time. If we look towards the back of the field, let's just pick out like a Skip Gandy. Let's pick out Doug Evans, I guess, a 1:36.218. There's a almost 3 second gap between these guys. So it can't be hard for Abner to cleanly get around these lap cars, because I think a skill that gets missed in road course racing. Hold on, let's get Mark Kalin in first.
Oh, Mark. Oh, Mark.
He hit both.
Come on, Mark. I was actually rooting for you. You were sitting up front. You're doing so good, man.
That was talent, though. I think he hit both the tires and the wall there, Terry.
Hold on. Can we go to the 32 once we're done with the replay with Thomas Sink here? Because that's actually a really funny back deck lid. That's pretty cute. But just take a look right here at Thomas Sink. I don't think he wants to see a replay yet. Oh, but he's in a bunch of traffic. He smacked the wall somewhere. He's got a whole lot of scraped up sheep panels on the right side. That's
sheet metal is what you're looking for.
Sheet metal. That's what I was looking for. We'll take a look right here. There's the replay. Oh, popped the wall there, and then he does it again in the live. He goes into the tire barrier. Oh gosh, there's so much going on. Everybody all the way around.
So what's happening here, Terry, is the tires are wearing out quickly on this track. So maybe you've been driving this track either in hot lapping in practice, you're qualifying, you've been racing, and you had all that grip for a few laps. But now the tires are going away. Now they're shredding apart in some forms, and now there's less grip than you were used to. Maybe the track might even be heating up, and it gets harder. This is one of those skills of road course racing. It does not get easier as the tires wear on. It gets way, way harder.
Yeah, it's going to be fun-ish. We take a look at the replay of the synchronized wrecking. We got O'Connor, got to pop around first. Around he goes. Bam, bam, bam.
That was actually the replay, the preamble to the replay we saw a bit ago, actually. We saw that orange car parked up there, and I think we know why. He was just trying to avoid the spun car in front of him. So I want to let's get Thomas Sink here in a replay. I think it's what's going to happen next year, okay? So I want to talk for a second, if we can go back to our leader. I know Dustin's busy. If we can go back to Abner Acosta for a second. So right now he has no lap track, which he's stoked about, for the record. But here's the road course etiquette that I think doesn't happen in NASCAR, Terry. If you're a lapped car or a slower car, especially in multi-class racing, what the leader wants is for you to be predictable. Race your line and make the leader get around you. What happens in road course racing with the leader, and why there's so much trouble up front sometimes, is those slower guys try to let you by, and it doesn't work. By letting someone by, actually make it like 10 times worse. It's like when two people both try to like get out each other's way in the middle of the target, and you end up like in each other's way. It's the same idea, just at different speeds.
Well,
I don't know Target's a sponsor. I just put that out there.
I like it, okay. But I tell you who has a target on his back right at the moment. It's Abner Acosta, because he's slowly but surely was getting chased in or reeled in by Richard Regan Jr. We have Jeff Evans here, who just got around. Looks there, he got around Mark Kalin, and then good save there, got locked her up in the corner. Almost lost a good save by Mark Kalin as well, who stayed there in the 5th place position. Jeff Evans, or 6th, and Jeff goes to 7th. But more lap traffic in the way for the 5 machine. You got Cotty Dillard out there in the chat, says, let's go 88. We have a fan out there for Mike Witt, who's currently running in the 19th position. And the race lead is heating up. It's 2.4.
I'm going to come back to that for a second right there. We saw Abner Acosta out of the last corner in here. That lapped car, once again, as I said, almost on cue, went to try to go to the inside and scrub that wall and probably freaked Abner out there in that last corner.
That is a good point. It could potentially have just spooked him there and made him step out of it. He stretched it back out to 2.5. It's going to be interesting to note. We talked about fuel strategy. We talked about potentially not having to pit versus having to pit. We're only slated 32 laps around the Chicago street course. I believe 33 laps of fuel was where we were kind of aiming. So you think people will pit, or you think we're going to just stay on the racetrack the entire time?
The question will be, as we look at a lap time difference here, by the way, Terry, look at that lap time. That's what, almost 4 seconds difference here in those times. The question will be the pit delta, right? We're going to go talk F1 for a second, if you don't mind. Pit deltas are going to matter. If you're an Abner Acosta, you know, your delta back to third place Bradley Holly is 10 seconds. It's 15 seconds to Ted Lewendick. If you think that you can, Lewendick, pardon me, if you think you can get on pit road and off and not lose anything and still have time with those tires, yeah, why not? But if your delta is too big, then if you're Abner Acosta, your only choice is, oh, Joey, what are you doing? Your only choice is to stay out and just suffer through the tires you have. You know, I think in the back of the field, though, that's where we'll see some tire runs happen. And we'll know when it happens, by the way, because we'll start seeing some new fastest laps clicked off F1 style.
That would be Nick McLaughlin catching Ted Lewendick for the 4th place position there in the 66, not to be confused with the 06, because the 60 was taken for Joey Tebbin. But I tell you what, in the spirit of Joey Tebbin, one of his favorite things to do on Wednesday night was do the PRL. And I know it normally stands for Precision Racing League, but for us over here, it is playing race cars loudly. So me and Derek are going to stop talking for a little bit. I hope you guys stay tuned here. But first, we're going to take a look at a replay of Mike Knight in the number 68 machine. Oh, he did not use his Thrustmaster. Yeah, brakes are very optional, but we're going to stop talking for a second. We'll enjoy the battle right here for the 4th place position. We'll turn these race cars up a little bit. We'll be right back. We turn the race cars down. We bring you back up here in the booth. My name's Terry Radford. Derek Watson joined alongside of me. We're here for the inaugural PRL race at the Chicago Street Course. For people wondering if this will be our only time, this has been a very fascinating race. Derek, I've seen no issues with this other than the the normal road course, innuendo that we talk about all the time, where we're single file, we're strung out, we got battles throughout the field. But this hasn't been too bad of a race. I don't know what fans are complaining about.
No, I mean, listen, the only thing that maybe I could see so far, compared to other road courses, maybe like a Watkins Glen that we were going to have on the schedule later, okay, is going to be the lack of passing. But we'll take a look at. Here's another replay here.
Oh, RaceSpoT.
4 car.
Oh, good. Slow down.
A nice 9-point turn there.
Yeah, I mean, he hit the tires.
Listen, it's not the first time in the streets of Chicago we've seen someone have to turn that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not exactly the best city of drivers here.
Shots fired to Chicago. The city takes it. And what a save right there for the 66 of McLaughlin. He lost the back end of it. And Joey Tebbett again.
In the way here.
Big time in the way. Oh, no. And the 11 just had enough.
Joey, not clear.
Oh, and the 11 not clear. Not clear on the 11 with That's
that part of the track we were talking about, though. They just went from 4 lanes to 2 right there. So you thought you had all the space in the world, and then you don't.
Well, Joey did not have a lot. Joey comes down pit lane here. Not a good second week for Joey Tebbett. And I almost wanted to call him Joseph again. Oh, and Mark Kalin. He gets going, but a lot of damage on the side of that 62 machine. I'm wondering if we had camera links for tonight, because I want to see his facial reaction when he hits the wall. That stinks, because I'm glad. The only thing I'm glad that we don't have cameras for is the fact that I don't see that giant UK behind him. Even the producer agrees.
That's rough. That's rough. Even the voice in the background agrees with that. That's a rough night right there. But you mentioned overall, it's been a pretty clean race. We've not seen any big, clogs. We've not seen that big full course yellow that the admins were fearful of. If anything, I think with some practice, drivers will learn how to make passes in the corner a little easier. But I mean, this is road course racing, right? It's big gaps. It's strung out. It's little inch by inch moves. And I think as as an oval guy, this is what we don't understand about road racing, is this whole big gap thing. We're used to a second being a close battle here, a tenth of a second being a close battle. But in road course racing, that just doesn't exist. And that's not a negative thing. It's just 2 different worlds and understanding each other. But I'm really happy with this race tonight. Listen, I mean, not to be disrespectful, but the only challenge tonight we've seen so far has just been drivers who are not road course ready, maybe hitting some walls. It's been the only negative of this race. Here's Charles, by the way. He said no attention, but we're going to give it anyways here. Come on, Charles. You said no attention, but we're going to watch you try to make that pass. This right here is maybe the biggest passing opportunity on this track. This is one of 2 of them here. Now make this left-hander here. Nice job checking it up. Gets it drifted out of the corner. They're going to come over the bridge. I'll make this right-hander, and I believe this is where we turn into 2 lanes here. Then we come into this big triple turn. Here's a right-hander. Here's the left-hander. I guess they're calling this a double left-hander map here. Oh, here's the right-hander. Man, that's so narrow right there, Terry.
Very narrow as he gets all the way to the wall. You see Charles having to back it up just a tad bit more than what he normally would, because he did have Patrick Calgill right in front of him. Braking zones here for the 98 has been very good. He gets loose off the exit of the corner, but the rear grip, you talked about it before, not necessarily there. But to bring back to the point and go full circle what you talked about road racing wise. Oh, Charles missed it there. But
there's an apex there, Charles.
4 seconds is not a big gap. 5 seconds isn't a big gap as Nick McLaughlin in the 66 goes around. He falls from the 4th place position. He's going to fall back all the way to the 8th place spot as he loses it off the exit of the corner. Around he goes. What a save. Didn't hit the wall. A lot of runoff there to miss it, and then gets it right back around. Takes a look at the interval.
Oh, sorry. Oh, no. That's not the rejoin. No, but if we could see that replay again from it, if we had one from his in-car, which we don't need to do if we don't have it, but what probably happened there, Terry, is he got on the gas a little too early out of that corner. And that's what causes the car to typically loop around like that in a track like this, is you try to smash the gas pedal. I think this is going to be the replay here. Watch it along here.
Oh, yeah, he tried way too early.
Hear that rev up? Yep. Yeah, in typical road course racing rules, you typically can't turn and be playing with the pedals at the same time. It's one or the other. And you heard he just rev that engine up. And that'll, oh, Charles, that's a wall. And then that'll cause him to loop it around like that every time.
Well, all right, so let's talk about it now, because now we got some pit strategy coming into play. Nick McLaughlin has come down pit road from the 8th place position to get 4 fresh tires. You see the jack go up, jack goes down. He's going to lose a ton of spots. There's another driver coming down pit road as well behind him. Jacob Emery exiting here. Good bit of shots going on. We'll see what our race leaders does with 19 seconds. Oh, and he catches lap traffic coming off there.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the point that you sort of hit on right there at the end, Terry. That's a very sketch pit road exit. Can I just say that? Like, I know they had to put it somewhere, but ooh, that's rough. Yeah, that's rough. But yeah, so now it's a question of what can Nick do, right? So let's see where he is. He is being scored, I believe, 16th on track. So he was 8th beforehand. So now the question is, what time can he make up? Of course, you saw him loop the car around. He might have just been frustrated and said, you know what, screw this, I need tires. So we'll see what he can do here. He's going to make the move to the outside here, set up this next corner.
Very easy to pass Colton Lane. No front bumper there. Definitely down. Definitely down on RPMs. But Jose brings up a good point. Hit the wall too many times. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm curious as here comes Ted Lowendick. He's coming down pit lane.
That's what I'm surprised by.
That's 6th place, or 4th place coming down pit lane. So interesting that we're starting to see drivers up in the front of this field come down the pit lane. Tires at a premium, but the X's. I know everybody's X's might live in Texas, but here in iRacing, you get too many X's, you get disqualified. So the incident count, we'll see how the incidents go up here.
No, you're right, but I'm surprised. Like, listen, I expected maybe Nick to be the last, or the first person in the top 10, or the last person, whatever to say, the only one that high up, so I'm trying to say, to be the one down pit road. Seeing Ted Lowendick do it from P4, I'm stunned. I really am. I did not see that coming. I'm not positive he's going to make up enough time for P4 again. I guess time will tell, but I'm surprised by that one, Terry. That one really caught me off guard.
Yeah, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be intrigued to see what the rest of the field does. Do they come down pit lane, or do we potentially see everybody stay out up in the front? There is a lot bottleneck back here from Reese Bogue, Doug Evans, Brett Karikoff, Danny Cervantes fighting it out right here. And there's a whole train of cars behind the 4 of Reese Bogue, who locks it up there. It's a battle for 8 all the way back to Ted Lowendick. So they came out right there. Nick McLaughlin on fresh tires right here at the back of this train. There's a ton of positions to gain all the way up to the 8th place spot. It's a lot of stuff, and you're welcome, Shanghai. You're welcome for the salon sponsor. Thanks to Radford Salon for the sponsor. I like that. I wish I owned part of that salon.
So listen, I want to talk about earlier, we asked what was the pit delta. Well, from the pit stops we've seen so far from the drivers who've done it, pit delta appears to be right around 41 seconds. That's from line to line, including your stop. So that's what they're facing here. Now, the question is, what kind of times are you doing different than you were before tires? So let's look up Ted Lowendick for a second, find him on our scoring here. And where is he? He's right here. He hasn't done a lap yet with the new tires. So we'll wait and see. But if he pulls a 4-second a lap faster like they did at the start of this race, maybe that delta is worth it. We'll have to wait and find out.
Well, you saw how the tires really affected their driving skill and style as they're able to charge the corners just a little bit better. They're able to get back on the throttle as well. You got Brett Karikoff right in front. He's going to give way here. He knows that the driver of the 66 is a little bit faster through the center of the corners, able to get back on throttle faster, put them back inside the top 10. All right, so they're 24 seconds back. Does this allow any of these drivers to come up here and put this time down?
Well, the question. Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
He almost popped the wall.
I was going to say the way to answer that question, though, is about where they come out. You know, a lot of times in road course racing, we talk about the undercuts, or we talk about maybe pitting early or late to avoid traffic. The fact that those guys came out in that herd of like 5 cars, that can hurt their chances at first of making progress. Because yes, you have newer tires, and yes, you have more grip. But if you're already fighting cars on lap 1 or lap 2 of your out lap, that just doesn't bode well. So here they are across the line. Let's make it timing scoring to update here. Wait for it at least.
There's some pit stops happening here. Danny Cervantes, Doug Evans comes down pit lane. They were right outside the top 10, and they're 2 seconds faster than our race leader, from a 133.7 to a 135.0 for Abner Acosta. It's a good little bit, and now make it about a second. It was a 134 there for our leader Abner Acosta. So Abner might have potentially just been saving just a little bit.
But here's the thing to note, though. You're right. They're not catching Abner at a great speed. But look at the next 2 ahead of Lowendick. You got Nicholas Hunter, last time a 137.4. You got Mark Kalin, a 137.8. Those are the guys that are going to probably run down and maybe get those spots. And that was a great pass for position right there.
Well, Matt Gagnon just offered me in the chat a percentage of the salon. I know that if I was running a salon, I would have nothing but Miracle Flow. Miracle Flow shampoo and products out there to make my hair pretty.
If you guys have seen Terry's hair on webcam like I have, you would not want him to be in charge of a salon. That's all I'm going to say. Like, that's like, I don't have a good reference that's appropriate for this. I'll just move on.
Hey, I'll tell you right now, this mullet's always waving, and it is always smooth and silky thanks to Miracle Flow shampoo, the $1 million mullet shampoo that I use, in the awesome Miracle Flow conditioner that keeps my hair wonderful at all times.
I think the fact it's a mullet was more of my point, but I'll let it go.
I tell you what, every time I go into the barber shop to get my hair cut, they always tell me the same thing. Damn, how do you keep that mullet? No, they say, hey, damn, how do you keep the mullet so good looking? Tell them Miracle Flow. I bring my own shampoo in there too, as we take a look at somebody who might not need shampoo when it's all said and done. He might need a change of pants. Says, oh, what a save. Got loose, saved it. That's Ryan O'Connor in the number 95 machine. Put him all the way back. Ryan is currently sitting 15th, 1 lap down.
As a driver, Terry, that is scary. That is, so first off, it's frustrating. You think you're having a good night or a good lap or two until that happens. But man, when that car wiggles the second time, oh, that's so scary. I've been in that spot before. You're just like, well, probably gonna lose the car.
Adam Zemke, who had a great run last time, he goes into the tire barrier, just barely catches it. And Zemke, he told us last week, man, I'm probably going to struggle here at this road course. A good top 5. If he could hold on to it up here, this would be a really good race number 2, putting himself into a good spot and a good run for this championship. He's come a long way as well. So this is pretty crazy to think. And we're talking about something crazy-er to think. These two are cutting this time delta down quite a bit. It is 5 seconds a lap to Mark Kalin there in 6. This is going to be entertaining to see. We thought that when they pitted, potentially they wouldn't get back into the 4th place range. But there's Mark Kalin, very damaged. He's been into the wall a couple times. He scraped that outside. He scraped the rear end of the car as well. He has no trunk. So we'll see. Can they catch up to Mark Kalin, and how fast can they catch him?
That'll be the question. Now, up front, I know we're not focused a lot on Abner because of that big, massive lead he has. There he is on our screen. That is a 13.5-second gap back to Richard Reagan. Abner is just really almost out here on the Sunday drive. Now, look at that ahead, though. Here comes more lap traffic. I saw Charles Sumner up there and a couple others. This is the only part that Abner has to be not suspicious of, but definitely worried about, is what does this lap traffic do? But look at this, taking those corners at ease. Tell he loves his road course racing, gets it tracked back out to the other side, and ready to hit this next corner.
Yeah, Abner. Abner's the kind of guy that I'll tell you, and I mean this with nothing but love to Abner. I've never raced with a driver that can be so patient and so skilled at the same time and never lets his emotion get the best of him. I mean, last season, if Richard got mad, you saw Richard get mad. If Brad got mad, you could see him get mad. You could see him get frustrated. But when you take a racer and you think of a racer as Reese Bogue shoved Ryan O'Connor out of the way. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's something Abner doesn't try to do as much. I know him and Brad had a good run in right there last season between them, and I'm sure Brad will he'll give it back every now and again. But Abner doesn't go out of his way to make an enemy. He'll make a move that he thinks smart, and if the move fails, guess what? He goes with it. He's like, look, I made the move. What else do you want me to do? But you put him on a road course, and we got 4 of these things, by the way, Derek. There's 4 of these road courses, and he's whipping the field by 15.5 seconds. He's lapped almost up to 10th. That's a crazy thing to think of.
And the thing that kind of makes me excited for Abner's season here, this is not, in my opinion, the most difficult road course in the schedule. There's road courses ahead on the schedule that are harder than this one, where if Abner truly is the road course specialist he appears to be, he'll have even a better time. But here's going to come through this tight corner, make the right-hand corner into this triple corner here. It's going to try to catch Charles Sumner. This big, long left-hander into the right-hander here. Oh, look at that. See Sumner going up. And what stood out to me, and we heard this thing in our ears, is that listen how little throttle he's using. Let's sit on this for a second silently, just for a second. Listen how little throttle he's using. That's the key to road course racing that I can't master. Listen to that, Terry. I mean, right there, a lot of throttle through the straightaway. Let's hit one more corner here. Listen to that, such little throttle. That's the problem I have with road courses, and many do, is you think you want to get on the throttle as fast as possible, but no, Abner is showing us quite the opposite here, and really just putting on a clinic in every way possible.
Well, they always say that smooth is fast and fast is sexy. I don't know if it's really sexy about what he's doing here tonight. He's lapped all the way up to the 11th place position. He's got past Charles Sumner. He's catching Patrick Calgill here, who's sitting in 10th. And he's not that far off from potentially going up here and catching maybe a Nicholas Hunter as well, if there's issues there. No sign of him coming down pit lane. So you would imagine with 6 minutes, 43 seconds to go, that Abner's going to stay out. Reese, or Patrick, moves over. He knows. No sense in fighting this. That's another thing about these drivers is Patrick Calgill. I love the way he drives. I love how smart he is behind the wheel. He knows his weaknesses. And a lot of drivers don't want to admit their weaknesses. He's one of them that will. And I'm sure if you told him, hey, you're going to finish 10th, potentially, at Chicago Street Course, 1 lap down to Abner, he probably would have said, okay, yeah, right, just kidding. Like, not a big thing, but a good solid top 10, even though it's a lap down. Who cares? I'd take that any day of the week. I'd take a top 10 on a road course.
Absolutely. And, here's the challenge that Abner just faced right there. I want to point this out, is while he is the leader trying to get around lap traffic, these guys are fighting for 10th and 11th. So these guys are not as willing to budge as other lap cars are, because they're still fighting for something. If Sumner lets off and lets Abner go and is a polite racer, all he's doing is really just killing his chances of catching Patrick Calgill again for 10th. So as a leader, that's even a harder thing to get around at a road course, is when guys are fighting for position.
That's a tough thing to think, and they're 1 second. So I'll go back to the drivers who did come down pit lane. They are 7-lap old tires with Ted and Nick McLaughlin. They are right there on the back bumper of the 6th place driver of Mark Kalin. It's a long way up to get up to Adam Zemke. Not sure they're going to catch him there with 5 minutes to go. But worth noting that Mark Kalen's sitting there with a very strong 6th place run right now, potentially going to slip back to the 8th place position. We'll see if they can go up there and catch potentially Adam Zemke. I misspoke, I said Nicholas Hunter. Adam Zemke, if they can go catch him as well. He's about 7 seconds off, and they're both going to look to the inside here. The preferred lane, not going to get it there. We'll see when they do go out and grab this.
Now the question really is here, Terry, at what point do these tires almost become even again? At what point does that new tire advantage for Lowendick and for McLaughlin really kind of level off? And I think we're starting to see it here. Because even though they're running down Mark Kalen, they're not out-braking him. They're not really like, you know... oh, hold on.
They're wrecking each other.
Never mind. Well, there goes that tire advantage. Wow, I'd love to see replay of that. I'm not sure someone thought they were clear, or I don't know. That's going to be quite the moment here. Let's see it here. I'll tell you, this came up, or out, or whatever word you want to use there.
He went to driver's right.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Well, I tell you, I mean...
If you're Mark Kalen, that's the best thing you can see right there.
I'll do it, because, well, they're sitting here below us. RaceSpot's favorite people, and, well, no point. Just grab Ted Lowendick. Hey, Ted, you got a second to talk?
Yeah, what's up?
Well,
An awkward experience back there.
yeah, just a little bit. And what better way to talk it out than to talk to the driver who, you know, went in the wall?
Yeah, Nick thought I was going to send it down the inside, and the awkward part is we just didn't communicate that. I kind of got out of it because I didn't think I was going to be able to get inside of Mark there. And good news is we didn't lose any spots, and it looks like Nick got around Mark now. So yeah, a little awkwardness there and a little team communication blunder, but we're okay.
Well, let's talk about some strategy for a second while we got you. You came down pit road. Talk about that car. I mean, obviously you drove it on old tires. Now you're driving it on newer tires. What does it feel like, compare and contrast, as the run went through?
Superman once you come into the pits and put new tires on, because this track, I don't know how Abner's not died yet and how everybody else in the top 3 is still driving. I definitely burned up the rear tires in the first stint and made a couple mistakes there at the end and just was like, I'm pitting. I'm not going to make it. So hopefully we can get up here and get around Mark. I think we got a lap to go. Can't tell. Haven't looked at my relatives since the start of the race.
Yeah, but you have about 2 laps to go. We appreciate you, Ted, for you know.
Oh no, Mark's in the wall. Okay, we're okay.
That's a normal occurrence for Mark. We appreciate you, Ted.
Here, going into the final corner.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, what a good way to have the people down there in the race spot booth with us. He gets around Mark and makes a pass while he's doing an interview, just casually doing it at the same time, Derek.
That is the iRacing definition of walking and chewing bubblegum at the same time, Terry. That's pretty cool. But all kidding aside, the impressive part to me was even after he spun the car, I was like, oh, maybe the tires are dead. Maybe the tires don't matter. He spun the car and still passed Mark. And I'm not putting Mark down when I say that by any means. I'm just saying how impressive that is. You can spin the car and get around Mark Kalen, what, 2 laps later? That's the difference in the tires.
I'm just very impressed. I'm very impressed with Mark Kalen's run as the battle for 10th has ended. Reese Bogue has climbed all the way back up there to get around Charles Sumner and Patrick Cowgill to put himself the first car 1 lap down. Not a big deal. We're not going to see a caution. Even if we do, he's not going to get the wave around. The race would be declared over. This is the final lap. If anybody didn't know that, the battle for the lead is not going to happen, but the battle for second is there. It's heated up. It is Richard Regan Jr. versus Bradley Holly with 1 lap to go. Richard is loose. So is Bradley Holly. They're both sliding through the corner. There has been no sliding, though, for the man who leads this, but a 1.5 seconds faster for Richard Regan Jr. Or for Bradley Holly. And Reese hits the wall. Charles Sumner gets back around. Patrick Cowgill gets back around. He falls a ton. Brett Karakoff's going to be trying to pick on the dead bones of the number 4 machine. Final lap. Checkered flag's going to wave.
Oh,
Look at the moment. That's the replay of the 4 doing premature victory donuts. We'll wait for Abner Acosta. He wins at the Chicago Street Course. Battle for second still there. He's going to look. Bradley Holly not going to get there this time. They'll come down the hill. See if he can outbrake him here. Not going to do it. He pushed hard, almost in the wall. Not a challenge. P2 is going to go to Richard Regan Jr. But Abner Acosta, 29.5 seconds, gets it done.
Tell you what, Terry, whether he won that race by 25 seconds or 6-4, that's my Chicago reference tonight. That's a solid win by Abner Acosta and a great bounce back for Abner Acosta.
And he's not just a great racer. He's a great coach. He's just a good person. You don't say that about a lot of people on iRacing. He's just a good person. I absolutely love the fact that he's just a down-to-earth guy. I mean, he teaches CN Pennington in the trucks. He's not afraid to teach anybody. He's just good. He's just good all the way around. And there's Mark Kalin coming home in the P8 position. The Kentucky Wildcat fan going across there. Our last driver to finish on the lead lap is going to be right here in Nicholas Hunter in the 109. Good run for Nick. Come through the field. Get ready to work our results as everybody comes across. Abner Acosta does the donuts on the streets of Chicago. A great coach. Sorry, I just say a good coach. He's a great coach, as the people in the chat very quick to remind me that he's not just good, he's great. He'll keep doing his donuts up down while people are still trying to finish. Everybody's gonna have to miss Abner. He got back around the track before people could finish. And we are done. Here are your finishing results after 32 laps around the streets of Chicago. Abner Acosta, Richard Regan Jr., Bradley Holly, Jeff Evans, Adam Zipke, your top 5. Nick McLaughlin, Ted Lowendick, your people who pitted there in 6th and 7th. Mark Kalin back there in 8th with Nicholas Hunter and Patrick Cowgill rounding out your top 10. Back there in 11th, you got Charles Sumner with a very good run on the road course. Reese Bogue, Brett Karakoff, Doug Evans, Colton Lane, Mike Witt, Joey Tebbin in 17th. Skip Gandy 1 lap down. 2 laps down goes to Thomas Sink and Ryan O'Connor in the number 95. Rounds out your top 20. Nick Byer, Danny Cervantes with a bad night, 10 laps down. 12 laps down for Jacob Emery, Jim Westerfield, Mike Knight, and I think the best rear end of the night goes to Jeremy Bailey with the caution, student driver award for the 32 in the 26th spot with Matt Gagnon, and Chris Justice retired early, 27 laps down. That rounds out your 28 car field here in the NASCAR Xfinity Series race. And well, seems like we have our P2. We'll go ahead and get him with Derek Watson.
Well, that is Richard Regan. And Richard, what a race tonight here you had at the Chicago Street Course. The first race here. So last week you're like, I don't like road courses. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I still don't like road courses.
But you did okay at it.
Yeah, I did okay. Honestly, a little surprised by my qualifying pace. And then, the first, I don't know, maybe 15 laps, I was able to stay within 3 seconds of Abner. And I was trying to take it cautious after the first couple of laps, because let's face it, Abner's a wicked good road course driver, so I kind of knew, and unless he made a mistake and killed his car, then I wasn't going to win the race. So I'm just trying to survive these road courses and point my way and keep as many points as I can. So I didn't really want to take too many risks. And then I don't know, like the last 10 laps, I got taken to school by everybody. It seems like it was like a light switch went off. I didn't feel like I was burning up my tires early, but I guess I was, and I lost a lot of pace towards the end. But luckily, was able to hang on for P2.
Fair enough. So their question: how about tonight's race? At any point, the biggest topic up here in the booth was people taking tires or not taking tires. At any point, was taking tires a consideration in your head?
I'd say the only time that ever came into my head was, you know, if we were going to make it on fuel. We were all pretty tight on making it on fuel. At least I was. I ran out after turn 1 after taking the checkered. So I was trying to monitor that a little bit. And if we were going to have to pit, I don't know. It probably would have just been a fuel only, because it would have only been like 1.5 gallons. But if we had to take like 3 gallons or something, then, you know, it might have been faster to take tires because of the pace fall off. But that's just me. I don't know. It seems like other people didn't fall off as bad as I did.
Fair enough. Well, I think for our silly question and end our interviews tonight, obviously we come to Chicago, we have to talk about the pizza. Do you have a favorite style of pizza?
I guess New York style.
Have you had Chicago style pizza?
I have. I honestly do not like Chicago style pizza. Yeah.
Oh my god.
You might need to get out of town before they hear that.
That's fine.
Well,
I got one quick comment to make.
Go ahead.
To Terry, because Terry lied on the broadcast yesterday and said, last week, and said that I don't listen to country music. I never said that, Terry. I just said I couldn't pick out country artist.
He said his girlfriend doesn't let him.
No, you don't listen to real country music. You listen to the fake stuff now.
I listen to it when I'm by myself.
Well,
that's because the girlfriend won't let him. I got it. Listen, Richard, all kidding aside, great run at P2 tonight, and we'll see you next week at Atlanta.
Yeah, for sure. First, let me give a shout out to Mission 22, Neonas and Paints, Multiple Sclerosis Society, everyone at Regenbogen Motorsports, everyone at Dirty South Racing, everybody at PRL, and you guys at RaceSpot.
Fair enough. Well, thank you so much, Richard. And with that, I now believe that Terry has caught up with our race winner, Mr. Abner Acosta.
Yeah, we'll grab our race winner. Abner Acosta race win on the inaugural race for the street course here in the PRL, and you did it in dominating fashion. 29.5 seconds over Richard Regan Jr. Man, that was a butt whipping, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Richard did really well. He was behind me for like half of the race. I guess just everybody just burnt their stuff up, and they just had like a huge fall off. But yeah, no, everybody, it was a tough race getting through the traffic and all that. Was just, you know, I was just saving my stuff and just maintaining that lead, and, you know, got me that win.
Well, we go to next week. We go to Atlanta, which is a super speedway intermediate race, and it's the great unknown other than this one. So we go to 2 unknown racetracks. What do you think you're going to do there at a super speedway 1.5 mile style race?
I don't know. I think I'm gonna hate it, but we'll see what happens. As long as I don't crash out again, it's I'll be fine with it. But I don't really enjoy the Atlanta Super Speedway one, so we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, we asked Richard, and I'm gonna ask you, what's your favorite style of pizza? Since we are in Chicago, where they have the deep dish pizza, are you a Brooklyn style pizza? Or are you more traditional pizza wise?
I think I'm more traditional style. Just I'm pretty default, like pepperoni. I'm good. Yeah.
Sucks. All right, Abner, congrats on your win, man. We'll see you next week at Atlanta, and hope that you can survive the unknown that is the Atlanta Super Speedway. Yeah, I think that's right.
All right, I'll try.
Thank you, sir. That's Abner Acosta, P number 1. Derek is going to stand alongside Mr. Bradley Holly.
Well, Bradley, it's your second time seeing you this week on RaceSpot and PRL. Monday night, you did the Long Beach race. It's your second street course of the week. Are you happy they're over, or do you love them?
Oh, I'm absolutely happy they're over. I don't want to see a street course till next year.
Fair enough. Well, you ran really well tonight. You ran up in P3. Overall, what are your thoughts on the race?
I felt like I did a great job. I saved early and tried to keep my tires underneath me and started catching Richard. And if I didn't make a couple mistakes in the last few laps of that of tonight's race, I think I could have got to him at least a lap earlier and had a better fight against him to try to get P2.
So I asked Richard, and he said not really. So I'm going to ask you: at any point, was stopping for tires a consideration, or you're just like, yeah, that's not a game plan in my head?
I knew today after doing my second official race that we could make it to the end. So that was my game plan, and just went for it.
Fair enough. Well, listen, we've asked everybody else so far, so I'm going to ask you. Of course, we're in Chicago. You have to talk about the pizza, Chicago-style pizza. They think it's the best. So I guess I have two questions. One, have you had Chicago-style pizza? And then two, what is your favorite style of pizza?
I have had Chicago-style pizza. I don't know if it was true Chicago-style pizza, since I wasn't in Chicago. And honestly, just anything with meat lovers is my favorite. So as long as it doesn't have pineapple, that's all I'm going to say on that one.
Fair enough. Well, awesome. Listen, great job tonight. We'll see you next week at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Good job, Bradley.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, next up, I believe, Terry, let's go ahead and grab Charles Sumner.
Yeah, let's grab him.
Sorry. Go ahead with Patrick. I'm sorry.
I grabbed the wrong guy. We'll dual interview here because they finished right next to each other, and they're going to stand by with Derek Watson.
Well, two different interviews. So first off, Patrick, good job tonight on your run. You and Charles raced pretty close all night long for 10th and 11th. So the race is over. Are you happy it's over, or do you love road courses?
This is actually, I didn't know this track until like 2 hours before the race started, so I'm actually pretty stoked about 10th place.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, you and I talked pre-race, and about 2 hours earlier, I DM'd you. I said, hey, what are your thoughts on the race? And you're like, I don't know. And then it kind of went from there, if I remember right. So yeah, good job tonight on that run. But Charles, I'm going to talk to you as a league admin. You and I had a conversation about this race before it started, and you kind of said there were some concerns about full course blockages. That never happened. So as an admin, are you happy with the results tonight?
Oh, absolutely. On the PRL roadside, that's not even a thought, right? The full course yellow will never happen. But on oval sides, this isn't our forte, right? So the rule is if we ever have a full track blockage, we'll throw the full course yellow. We've never had to do it. We knew tonight was the biggest risk that we would ever have outside of the S's at Watkins Glen, right? So I am proud of everybody. The focus really too that I preached to everybody was the first few laps while we were in a big gaggle. Once we started spreading out, I know guys would kind of slide and hip check the wall, right? We saw that all night long, but hey, when you're 5 seconds apart, you could do that and get away with it. So kudos to everybody for behaving while we were in a tight pack.
Fair enough. Well, listen, we're in Chicago. We can't let you guys go without talking about it. Pizza. That's what Chicagoans think they're the best at. Do either of you have a favorite style of pizza? Is it Chicago pizza? Is it New York pizza? Is it Detroit style pizza? What do you got?
I like pepperoni.
Well, that's Patrick
pizza.
first. You don't care if it's deep dish or thick crust or thin crust, as long as that's pepperoni.
I really don't care.
All right. No pineapple, though, right?
Good answer, Patrick.
All right. Charles, what about you?
Honestly, as long as it's quality slice, I can eat anyway, right? You got to have a good crust, great sauce, tons of pepperoni. But I have been known in the past, a little garlic, a little bacon, maybe a slice of salami, throw some pineapple on it with some barbecue sauce.
We dance. Yeah, get out, Charles. You're not allowed. You're not allowed back up here in the broadcast booth ever again.
I admin the league. Believe this?
Not allowed at all. We're going to fire the admin.
Like Terry in my league, so what do you expect?
That's sad, because now I'm the voice of Wednesdays.
Oh, no. Terry, get back in the league. Quick, get back in the league.
Hey, that's a free spot.
Yeah, right? All things aside, good job to both of you. A really tight battle for 10th and 11th tonight, so good job to both of you.
Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen, and congrats, Patrick. That was a fun battle.
Yep, thank you, guys.
That's
all right,
fun.
Terry. Well, I think that about brings us to the end of our night.
That does wrap us up here for all of us here at the PRL, for everybody at RaceSpot, for Derek Watson and Mr. Dustin behind the scenes. My name's Terry Radford. We're going to see you next week for the PRL Xfinity Series at Atlanta Motor Speedway. That's going to be July 5th. We're not going to be live for that Atlanta Motor Speedway race at 8:30 Eastern. We'll be live for the Truck Series race at that time, but same time, same place. You'll catch us there. Same people as well. We'll see you next week from Atlanta and Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
That's what we need.